All right.
Turn that up.
Yeah. Check out our volume levels here. A little behind the scenes for you guys.
Half show prep.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smyth Radio. Your host, Brian Smyth, and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you all late-breaking details the past week. And since it's Happy New Year's Day, 2017, we have not been on the air for almost a week and a half now. Greatest apologies. However, it's a weird thing that Christmas landed on a Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, we've had holidays in the past on Sundays, and we went ahead and recorded something on Saturday. The problem is this past Saturday was Christmas Eve.
Right.
Which is actually when we do the most of our stuff. And so Brian and I just kind of had this unwritten policy of just taking the week off.
It was unwritten.
It wasn't
unsaid. Unsaid. Didn't even talk about it.
We went to family get-togethers together, and we didn't even discuss it.
Hey, man, what's up? How you doing?
Haven't seen you in a while.
I ain't seen you in a while either.
Anyway.
So this hour brought to you by SaveTheSnowFlakes.org.
Which is what?
Here's their PSA.
It happens all around you, and you may not even notice.
Thousands of snowflakes have found themselves personally victimized by the recent election of Donald Trump as President of the United States.
They continue to be emotionally damaged by the idea that the country may be run by someone that they didn't vote for.
Campuses across America are doing everything they can do to help put an end
to this devastating human crisis. Cornell recently hosted a cry-in where snowflakes could drink hot chocolate and come to terms with the unspeakable tragedy of not getting their way.
The University of Pennsylvania offered puppies and kittens for snowflakes to cuddle.
The University of Michigan Law School scheduled a post-election self-care workshop where snowflakes could color and blow bubbles.
And blow bubbles.
Other colleges and universities
even
canceled classes and final exams for snowflakes when the emotional damage was just too crippling.
Unfortunately, these efforts are not enough.
We need your help to make sure these snowflakes no longer have to live in fear of being offended by facts and logic, opposing points of view,
or triggering harmful things like proper pronouns or cultural Halloween costumes.
Snowflakes should not have to walk around their college campus and risk hearing something they disagree with,
or seeing something that doesn't fit within their personal worldview.
Every dollar that you donate will go towards helping those who have been victimized by the opinions of others.
Proceeds will be used to purchase teddy bears,
coloring books, and Play-Doh for campus safe spaces,
cardboard for homemade protest signs, and counselors for snowflakes who have been victimized by hearing things that they don't like.
Snowflakes who've been especially damaged by harmful, often conservative rhetoric will be provided with ponies and safety pins.
All thanks to the generosity of viewers like you.
Please, for the price of a pumpkin spice latte a week, you can help save a snowflake from being triggered on a college campus near you.
Go to www.SaveTheSnowflakes.org
to find out how you can help save a snowflake today.
Because your feelings matter, but their feelings matter more.
Matter more.
Matter more.
Matter more.
Yikes. That's kind of old news. But
I wanted to open that up because I thought that was really good. And the website really is SaveTheSnowflakes.org, and you can go there and you can see all these PSAs, and then they'll do interviews with snowflakes. It's it's incredible their outreach that they have for the community. It's just it's an emotional thing. But how would that make you feel knowing that your generation, we're Generation X.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of cool.
No. Yeah, we're X.
Yeah, we're
right.
Generation X, which is kind of cool.
Lost track.
There was a generation like Y, sorta.
Spelled W-H-Y.
Why? Right. They just questioning everything. What? What?
I would question everything if I was them too.
And then we have the millennials, and now Generation Snowflake. Apparently, there's the kids in universities and around, I don't know, I guess everywhere. They've been raised in a socialist mentality, given everything, had everything, don't say anything wrong. The whole politically correct world that we live in, especially here in America, which has been the downfall of us in America. It's been incredible that being politically correct, and that's why Trump won. He is not politically correct.
That's a big part of it, and which has caused some confusion the past couple of weeks.
Yes,
extreme confusion amongst Trump supporters, and this is such a hot button topic. I don't know how in depth I want to go into it, but it is. It needs to be talked about, and the problem is those of you who are on my side of the opinion are just going to be like ditto, whatever. And those that are on the other side might not know that I'm on the other side of your opinion.
Really?
In which case, you will then proceed to block me or unfollow me or cuss me out or whatnot.
Or fall down like Mariah Carey last night, drunk as hell.
Oh, I did not know
Well,
that.
I thought she was drunk, and the other women in the room told me, said, no, she's hopped up on drugs. She's high.
Oh, she's high.
Yeah, she didn't get with the words. She didn't start the song. She didn't sing the song. She walked around. She complained about the song in the microphone walking around.
Was she... Oh, excuse me, guys.
She was supposed to be singing the New Year's Eve. It was right before New Year's Eve, before the ball dropped.
Okay, I just saw Lionel Richie. That's all. I didn't.
Did he sing?
Yeah, he actually sang. He's like 99 years old.
Mariah Carey couldn't do nothing. She was like nothing. No, they carried her around because she couldn't pick. She couldn't walk.
Was she channeling Hillary Clinton?
Something.
He had to be drug around.
Something. So racism.
Okay, so basically, I'm just going to walk. Everybody's probably heard this. People that listen to us probably know 95% of this story, but basically, we're really big fans of Mike Cernovich, and he's been an edgy, controversial figure, and he's got a very colorful past and all that kind of stuff. But apparently he has some friends, or should I say former friends. Had friends that must have mistook him for something else, because we have an absolute civil war going on amongst conservatives who have supported Trump for a long time.
Especially on Twitter. And if you're on Twitter, you know who we are and you know who they are.
Right, and it's interesting you say especially on Twitter. The Twitter following of Donald Trump and his campaign and now his presidency and all that kind of stuff is the thing that got him elected.
Oh, yeah.
Despite Dan Scavino. Sorry if you're listening, Dan. Or if you're a friend of his.
And I do follow Dan. Dan's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, I followed him as soon as I found out that he was the social media chair of the Trump campaign. I immediately started following him.
Right.
But like some of the biggest names in online media that support Trump, Dan Scavino does not follow. Doesn't even follow him. Why doesn't he follow him? Because he doesn't even know about him.
And that's sad if you're the media guy. It doesn't work.
Wow.
You're supposed to be the media guy?
Well, and here's what kind of tipped everybody off on that was that he bragged right after the election that he was the reason why Trump got elected. He took credit for it because he recognized a truth, that is that the people on Twitter, the people online, social media, your Facebooks and all that stuff that supported Trump were largely the reason why he ended up being successful. So Dan mistook that as being, oh, well, since I'm in charge of all this, I guess that means, I'll give myself a pat on the back.
What about Kellyanne Conway?
Oh, no, she had a big part of it, too.
Oh.
She came in late.
No. I talked to your father about this.
Uh-oh. Let's hear what you guys say about this. About Kellyanne Conway.
He was shocked and beside himself that the first time he ever saw her was election night. when Trump won.
Oh, yeah, because my dad does not dive into the social media part of news.
Well, but there was a media blackout on this woman.
Well, I didn't know that.
She didn't fit the narrative.
Okay, because I don't even have cable, and I don't watch mainstream media outside of people making fun of them, I wouldn't know if they blacked her out or not, because I don't partake in their narrative. I don't let them feed me what the news.
And so your father telling me, because I didn't know it either. I said, I've been watching her forever. He's like, no, they had CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. They did not have Kellyanne Conway.
But I've seen interviews of her on those channels, so I really don't know what my dad's talking about. But
not enough. Apparently not like they're doing now. He says he sees her everywhere now.
Well, as soon as they hired her on, as soon as they ditched the last guy, which I can't even remember what his name is anymore, and hired her in his place, as far as
we were talking about Katrina.
Well,
not Hurricane Katrina, although she is she's a little hurricane herself.
Right.
Katrina Pearson.
Well, she's been around since day one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she had a part in it, because I believe that when she came on board, she successfully argued for the Donald Trump movement. She did a very good job of arguing on their behalf, and it emboldened the supporters and people who were on the fence, who were worried about being called a racist and all this kind of stuff, and because they're a Trump supporter, was emboldened to go ahead and support him, either publicly or sometimes privately. Some people are so scared in politics that they're scared to even follow a Donald Trump in private.
Wow.
Like Mel Gibson from Conspiracy Theory, where you have to box yourself into your apartment because everybody's watching you and stuff like that.
All right.
So anyway, getting back to the big Civil War. So Donald Trump has this giant following. There was the alt-right. There was Pepe the Frog. And we actually said, and I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I think it's important for us to follow up on this. There was an episode that we recorded several weeks or months ago, probably months, where we pretty much said, yeah, I think we're part of the alt-right. And we defended the alt-right, and we pretty much announced that we think we're part of the alt-right, but we defined what we thought the alt-right was.
Because nobody knew what it was. It was a new word that the left drummed up to call us.
Well, no, believe it or not, there was an alt-right that actually preceded the Trump movement.
Okay.
And when they started following Trump and supporting him, to people like us, we thought that it was new. We thought the media called this new support of Donald Trump, the alt-right, when in fact there was an alt-right that was there was like this anime right. You ever heard of anime right? Apparently they are they are a piece of work, apparently.
Okay.
So it started out with these gamer people, Gamergate. You can research all that kind of stuff, and it's like all these young white men, I guess predominantly white men, that were a part of this movement that was we thought was just a white advocacy group that was in support of white people, similar to the way that there are minority groups who lobby on behalf of rights for African Americans and for Mexicans and Latinos,
Native American Indians.
Yeah, all that stuff. And so it seemed like it was only fair to have an advocacy group for white people, and especially men. We even did an interview on Your Voice Radio with the woman that made that documentary. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And she was trying to bash the male advocacy groups as being sexist, and it turns out in the course of her research for her documentary, she ended up agreeing with them.
She gave herself an education by doing some research.
Right. She was a typical millennial that has to learn this stuff from scratch, because none of this stuff is taught in schools.
Right.
At all. So anyway, so our definition of alt-right was a little bit different than what the original alt-right called themselves, and they even were a little bit perturbed by that. They didn't like to be redefined. They were like, whoa, 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 whoa. We've been around for a while. we'll have our own definition, and it is our definition. And I'll give him credit for that. But our definition, what we thought it was just this white and sometimes male advocacy group. And you don't have to be white to be a part of it. If you feel that it's fair that white people should have a lobby on their behalf, then you don't even have to be white. You could support that. Right. Just like there's white people that are members of African-American advocacy groups, you know? And so that's what it seemed like to me. I personally felt, as a white male myself, that the white males are under attack in America. And if you talk to Europeans, they feel the same way in Europe.
You said white people join black advocacy groups
that are not black, or
that are not black.
Right.
It sometimes become the leader of the chapter of the NAACP.
Oh yeah, that woman that identified as black.
Dude, her mom opened up.
Right.
They cracked on it. Said, "Look, this is her a year ago in high school."
She looked like, not to be prejudiced, but she looked like your typical captain of the cheerleading squad.
Right.
And she may have been. I don't know. I mean, I may have seen a picture of her in a cheerleading outfit. I don't know.
Apparently she was tanning so much, dyeing her skin and dyeing her hair.
Yeah, it was like the spray on tan, and she had the cornrows. And then at some point she had the kind of like a afro.
Yep.
But anyway, so that stuff happens. But so anyway, meanwhile, the left, and this is all during the entire campaign, the left is trying to demonize the alt-right as being white supremacists. And of course, I laughed and was very annoyed by this, because that was the whole point of being under attack as a white male, was that we couldn't defend ourselves from these attacks without being called a white supremacist.
Right.
And it's dishonest. It's a lie. I don't think any race other than white is inferior, and that's the definition of white supremacy. You feel that your race is supreme, superior over all other races. And so I was extremely offended when the media, the Hillary supporters, the DNC, this would be the propaganda arm of the DNC, the mainstream media, tried to label people who the alt-right at the time is what they were calling it, white supremacists and KKK members and Nazis, literally Hitler, that kind of stuff. And so I fought hard against that, and I said, whoa, in fact, didn't we cheer it on? Because we knew that every single time, we actually said this, every single time a mainstream media leftist calls a Trump supporter racist, he gets 10 times more voters.
Right.
He gets a big boost of support from people who are sick and tired of being called racist. White people. And
the thing is that they've used this racist, this hate, this all these demonizing things towards us as conservatives for decades, hundreds of years, not even thousands. But the thing is that at this point in time, we as just all around any town, Kramer said it on Seinfeld, any town USA, just any town USA, American loving individuals who know and understand that the military was there to fight for our freedoms. They understand that there is a constitution and there are rules and there's laws to follow. And those people said, you know what, I'm sick and tired of you calling me racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe.
Absolutely. And so that's what we said, bring it on. Please keep calling us racist, because we're not. It's a lie. We always have known. It's not like all the Trump candidacy comes along, white people start to be called racist, and then we suddenly notice it. We are sick and tired of being called racist for the past 5-10 years now.
Right.
And yeah, so when they start doing it and it doesn't work, I was so relieved. I was like, finally, we're not going to be tolerant of false accusations anymore.
Hannity was talking with Donald Jr. on one of his shows, and they brought that up about how Americans, just American voters that are voting for Trump supporters, so tired of being called names by Hillary and the left that they actually we took a page out of the left's book, and when they call you a name, take it, own it, and say, that's me.
I got to give Rush Limbaugh a little bit of credit here. He would use that really quick phrase. He would say it really fast. Racist, bigots, homophobes, whatever. He'd say it really fast. And he said it so often that you just started to realize, well, that's what they're going to call us, but you didn't freak out about it because Rush Limbaugh flat out said it. If you say this, if you say that, they're going to call you racist, misogynist, bigots, homophobes. And
then when they do call you a homophobe, you're like, oh,
that's what Rush said you were going to say. That's exactly what they said you were going to say. Right. So I give him credit for kind of inoculating us, really. And so that's good. That's a good thing.
And then when Hillary says something so outlandish, so outrageous, so I don't know if it's scripted. I don't know if her people got together and said, hey, you know what? Why don't you call them a basket of deplorables?
I don't know why she thought that was going to be a good idea.
What is a basket of deplorables?
One of them, I put Trump supporters in two groups. One of them, I'll put them in a basket of deplorables. The other group are just dumb. She didn't say dumb, but if you translate what she's saying either you knowingly are a bad person, which makes you deplorable.
Right.
Because you have to be bad to support him. Or you're completely stupid and ignorant and are unable to figure out how bad one must be to support him.
Right.
That's pretty much what she was saying. And that's why she lost.
So
anyway, we
handily.
So the deplorables is definitely became a badge of honor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, fast forward, we win the election and everybody's happy and all these people, all these deplorables, these KGB operatives, we made a big joke out of it for the past, 10 months or so. And they all have been following each other on Facebook. Some of them have gotten to meet and know each other personally.
Right.
Either face-to-face or through interviews on all these various internet talk shows and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe even just conversing back and forth on Twitter or whatnot, okay? And turns out there was something brewing that I don't know about Brian. I'm not going to speak on Brian's behalf, but this caught me off guard big time. And that is that there is apparently a chunk, not a very big chunk. We found out, we did a little bit of research, found out it's not as big as we were fearing that it was. There's a chunk of Trump supporters who, a higher percentage than I'm comfortable with, who really are just outwardly, flat out racist.
Well, and they've got this, I don't know where this hate for Israel comes from, but they've got this.
They're mainly anti-Semites. They don't really say a whole heck of a lot about other minorities.
Usually
But they are hardcore advocates for the white race. And like I said, I think it's fair. If there's going to be advocacy groups for different races, there certainly shouldn't be any problem with there being a white advocacy group. I have no problem with that at all. And, if you fight hard for that group, that's fine. Just as long as there are lines. To me, because of my vast experience, I'm a little bit older than a lot of these people who consider themselves part of the deplorables. I'm going to be honest with you. I would have fallen into some pitfalls big time when I was in my early 20s. If I had this radio station,
yeah, absolutely.
Brian and I would have said stuff on this show that would make it impossible for us to run for president or be syndicated, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying it was because we used to be racist. That's not true at all. I mean, I grew up in an integrated school system, inner city public school, and it was integrated. I'm a product of the integration system that started in the really early 80s or late 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
So I understand the culture. It was brought into my school. I got to live with it for 6 hours a day, every single day, 5 days a week. So I understand, there's not that. That's how I have learned to avoid the kind of bigotry that you see sometimes between the races. It's not that they were born bigots. It's that, if you've never been around it your entire life, other than to see it on TV or listen to it on the radio, I could see there being some prejudices that you just don't understand it.
Raised watching Archie Bunker every night.
Well, let's just say that you've, I know a guy, I'm pretty close with him, I'm not going to say his name, I work with him pretty closely. He grew up in the sticks in the middle of Ohio his entire life on a farm.
Okay.
Now he lives in Cincinnati, and he has to work with people of color for the first time in his life.
Wow, that's amazing.
And dude's in his 30s, late 30s. So it's like, wow. And when you see some of the things he does or some things he says, it's not that he's racist or bigoted. It's just he really doesn't know.
He didn't know any better.
He didn't know, And so I got to step in and help out.
It's kind of like a family member we know. That individual sometimes just doesn't know. There's certain things you can't say anymore because it'd be taken the wrong way.
Oh, I know which family member. I'm like, which one is he talking about?
I mean, if you think that somebody like a white guy, oh man, I'd like to kill that guy. Okay, he's a white guy. It's not racism. I'm white. He's white. Oh man, I just really like to kill that guy. Or if I said, man, somebody should lynch him.
Yeah, right. The thing is that, okay, that's a perfect example. There are white people who don't understand the extra definitions of lynching. They only know it as that's like the citizens, a mob, coming together to hang somebody. They don't know the historical context of the word lynch being used to kill innocent black people in the South. They don't even know. So they might use the word lynch. I'm going to lynch somebody. They might say a lynch with regards to a black person, having no intentions whatsoever of tying that to racist South or the KKK.
Right.
They have no idea. And yet then they get judged for that. Like, oh, you must be an advocate for the KKK. No, they have no idea. They had no idea.
Right.
But in Brian and I's vast experience, we already know to avoid those types of...
You can't say that.
Right.
I mean, you can.
That's a good example, though, but that's one in a million of them.
And I bring that one up because that is the one that just my ears were... It was like sticking a dagger in my ear when this individual said that.
Right.
And it was a white person saying it about another white person. I'm like...
I'll give another example that I was in personally.
They defended themselves in saying it too. They're like, I said, I know, you're right.
I know, yeah.
I understand. And I'm not mad at you. I'm just letting you know if you're in mixed company, ain't gonna go over well.
Yeah, and then they finally said, oh, like they were so, this was total news to them. No, this happened to me one time. I used to play soccer, and one of my teammates is a sports writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer, freelance. Okay. And we're sitting there on the sidelines because our game is over and we're just kind of socializing. And the next game was going on and we're watching it. And I'm a big boxing fan and I knew he was a sports writer, so I'm sure he knows all about boxing too. There was a guy that was playing soccer on the next game that looked just like Felix Trinidad, who is a real famous boxer who gave Oscar De La Hoya his first loss. It was a huge mega fight on pay-per-view back in like 2000. And both of them were undefeated.
Right. And Felix Trinidad nationality is...
No, he's Puerto Rican.
Okay. And
he's Puerto Rican.
But the guy on the soccer field, his nationality...
Both Tito and the guy on the soccer field were both black. But Tito happens to be, Felix Trinidad, his nickname is Tito. Tito happens to be black too.
Okay.
But he's also Puerto Rican.
Okay, Puerto Rican black.
Right. And the guy looks just like Felix Trinidad. And I said, hey, you know who that looks like? And he's like, I don't know who. Looks like Felix Trinidad. And he's like, whoo. And he starts like kind of looking the other way and freaking out on me. And I was like, what? What's the deal? What? You don't think he looks like Felix Trinidad? He's like, no, he does. He does look like Felix Trinidad, but you got to be careful. And I'm like, what do you mean be careful? You can't talk about black people looking like other black people.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
But he is
on the end.
He's a liberal. He's a writer for a liberal newspaper. He's been in a liberal world of communications his entire career. He writes for a newspaper.
Yeah.
He was so tuned into these little pitfalls. And that's a minor pitfall. And the reason that I go ahead and I jump right in when it comes to a black person looking like another black person is because I grew up around black people. So to me, they don't all look the same. In fact, that guy that was playing soccer didn't look like any other black guy other than Felix Trinidad.
Nice. Right.
That's the thing. I think, when I was in boot camp, just to let you know, because Brian's kind of freaking out on me now. When I was in boot camp, we all got our head shaved, completely bald.
In Air Force too, yeah.
And those first couple days, every single person in our platoon looked exactly the same.
There's guys that we knew, we talked, chit-chatted after the head shave. I had no idea who he was.
You didn't know where they were.
Right.
Everybody looked the same. It takes a while for your brain to get acclimated.
And when they did that to the women...
What? I didn't shave on women's hair. Anyway, Brian's got jokes. No, but the point is that you learn something about the way the brain works. Apparently, hairdo is a major part of identifying other people. And if you shave it off, your brain has to come up with new ways to figure out who's who. And that's exactly what happened in boot camp. And we did. After a while, I remember about 3 weeks into boot camp thinking, gosh, I can't believe I thought everybody looked the same. Now I can easily distinguish because now my brain was using their eyes and their nose and their mouth and their head shape and all this. Whereas initially, my brain was mostly using the hair.
Somebody posted a picture of a cloud, big giant cloud online. It looked like it was a big sweeping cloud covered almost half the sky.
Yeah, you don't need to know anything other than hairdo when it comes to identifying Donald Trump.
And
can make a chicken.
The Chinese rooster.
Oh my gosh!
The sun was shining on that cloud and lit it up gold.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I got to see that.
And somebody, I put it up on Twitter. And somebody posted and said, "Trump rising."
There you go. Wow, I need to see that. Oh my goodness. So anyway, yeah, you can make a rooster look like Donald Trump just by put hairdo on it. So that's so my point is that if you didn't grow up around any black people at all, it's very possible. It makes sense to me why when you get around a group of black people, you might have trouble like distinguishing. It would make sense to me. And I know that because of what I experienced in boot camp with the head shaving. Everybody looked exactly the same.
Right.
It took a while. Now, for my part, I grew up in a 50-50 black and white school. So a lot of black people in the school, a lot of white people in the school. So I don't have that problem at all. I don't look at a black person and say, "Oh, they all look alike," which is, what. And you know what? In their defense, that doesn't make you bigoted because it's just the way the brain works. Depends on what you're around. But anyway, getting back to this huge controversy. So it turns out, should I name drop? I don't know. I feel bad, but it is what it is. Apparently,
you're feeling bad for what reason?
That's a good question. I guess I shouldn't feel bad. All right, so I'm gonna drop all the names so that you guys know what's going on. So apparently, there's a guy named Baked Alaska, who you probably a vast majority of people who would hear this show would probably be a follower of. I'll back up. I'll go all the way back to the beginning. He's a very popular DJ on Twitter. He has a ton of followers. And I guess he makes music, right? And he, at some point, got hired on to be at Nero's employee of some sort. He was some sort of a publicist for him at some point.
Right. Milo
Jovanovic. Yeah, that guy. The blonde gay guy that's a Trump supporter that trolls everybody, who got kicked off of Twitter.
Right.
So that was like one of the first times I started like following Baked Alaska. Was I learned of him through Mike Cernovich, and then I found out when I started following him that he was. Oh yeah, I see. Brian showed me the golden hairdo rising.
Trump was spotted rising over the clouds this evening.
Anyway, so Baked Alaska was working for Milo, and then he wasn't working for Milo, and there was no fanfare over why he was no longer working for him, and nobody knew nobody was the wiser. Nobody knew one way or another why he was no longer working for Milo. Most people never knew he was working for him at all.
Right.
So next thing you know, and I didn't know this until after the debacle went down, but Mike Cernovich hired Baked Alaska, okay? And they were working together on whatever it was that Mike was trying to get done. It was whether it was his own brand, whether it was like pushing and growing his own brand, or whether it was getting together this deplorable, which I'll talk about that in a second. But he was working for him, and he was getting paid. And I didn't know he was getting paid until after the blow up. And I didn't even know he's really working for him. I thought they were just close friends.
Right.
So anyway, this deplorable thing was organized, and it was supposed to be this party that was going to be inexpensive. And it was just kind of like hey, let's get all these people from social media together in D.C. and let's party it up. So they were going to rent a little hall that holds 500 people and a ballroom, if you will. I don't like to use the word ballroom because I honestly think that they were trying to get some dump together for cheap just so that we can say, hey, it's an actual party. It's a legit actual party.
Right.
And the tickets were like $29 a piece. So even though I wasn't sure I was even going to go, I bought two just because I could. You know? Because it was only $29. And I thought, well, just in case I go to DC, I want to at least be able to have tickets to this thing. So that was my initial thought. And then a couple other my friends bought some and whatnot. Whatever. Next thing you know, there's a huge blow up between Mike Cernovich and Baked Alaska. And everybody's like, whoa, what the heck just happened? There's all this drama. And Bill Mitchell was involved somehow. Turns out, once you dig into it and listen to Mike Cernovich's side of it and listen to Baked Alaska's side of it, I actually listened to both sides. So you're going to hear a fair assessment, not a biased one. I didn't want to be biased. I want to come on here and say that, I'm friends with Bill Mitchell and I'm friends with Mike Cernovich, so Baked Alaska can go to hell. No, I was going to wait and see really what happened before I dive on board with anybody, because I don't want to be on the morally wrong side. Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense.
As much of friends as I am with Bill Mitchell and Mike Cernovich, we got our own brand. I'm not going to sit here and jump on board with what I feel like the wrong side is. So before I really did anything, I decided to hear both sides. And I heard Mike Cernovich's side, and then I heard Bill Mitchell was said one day Bill Mitchell put his opinion down, and then he said, all right, I'm walking away from it. And he said that his opinion cost him several thousand followers, maybe 1,000 or something. I think he said I lost 1,000 followers.
Out of 50,000, 80,000?
No, he's way up there. I know he was over 80,000 a long time ago. So the point is that percentage-wise, it didn't hurt Bill Mitchell that bad. Jack Posovic, he's also one of the organizers of this Mega 3X deplorable. And originally, Baked Alaska said that he was a big part of organizing the ball. And apparently all of his followers believe him because they've been trolling all over Twitter saying that he's involved with it too. I'm sure Baked Alaska had input on it. Right. I don't know how much of an organizer on an official capacity he was. Maybe none officially, but unofficially, all I can say is it wouldn't surprise me if he was right there in the mix, giving his input and all this kind of stuff. he was put on the banner for the Deplorable to perform because he's a musician.
Right.
So he was going to perform at the Deplorable, and his name was on the banner. And apparently, he had started tweeting some what people would call anti-Semitic tweets, and saying things that some would call anti-Semitic, and that caused Mike Cernovich to privately snap on him, and then that caused Baked Alaska to publicly snap on him, I think is what it came out to. And then that caused Mike Cernovich to publicly respond to the snapping. And basically what happened was Mike Cernovich in private said, his name's Tim. I don't even know what his last name is. Baked Alaska's first name's Tim. Said, Tim, you got to knock it off with this Jew stuff, this Jew questioning. Is that what it is? JQ. Jew questioning. And Baked Alaska said, whoa, what's up with the freedom of speech? We should be allowed to say whatever we want. What do I got to censor myself? And he thought it was his opinion that he shouldn't have to censor himself because that would be against what this entire election cycle was about. It was about finally no longer having to be PC.
Well, there's a difference between being PC, being nice, playing nice, and freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, and the government can't censor you. The government.
Right.
However, other people and institutions may take, there's consequences. Like if you're inside a church and you start wailing all kinds of just awful words, they're probably going to kick you out. You probably can't stay.
They would have every right to kick you out, and for you to
freedom.
For you to say that, well, I'm protected by the Bill of Rights to come in here and start screaming in this church.
And snowflakes were absolutely beside themselves and just terrified when they found out that they couldn't get into a Trump rally with anti-Trump cards.
They said, look at Trump. He's against the First Amendment. We're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you. And you know what? We don't have to let you do that.
Correct.
Oh, my gosh. So anyway, so it becomes a debate over let's just imagine that Baked Alaska was 50% of the organizing of this Deplorable, and that Mike Cernovich was only the other 50%. So 50-50 in on this. And Baked Alaska comes out and says, well, you know what? Well, Jew this, Jew that. You know what the problem with this world is? It's the
too many Jews in power.
Well, Jewish-controlled media.
Oh, there it is. There, you're right.
Stuff like that. And Mike Cernovich says, whoa, I don't want to have no part of that. Who gets the Deplorable? And who, and it turns out that somehow Mike had I didn't know it at the time, but Baked Alaska was only an employee.
Right.
So obviously you see where the power hierarchy is right there.
Yeah, you got to cut them loose, let them go.
Right. And so, this whole thing of, one of the organizers of the event's been banned. I mean, come on, really? I mean, that would be like me being hired by the Trump administration at the highest level and then getting fired after he gets elected and say, "Oh, you're responsible for the presidency and now you can't even come to the inaugural," or something like that.
Right.
It's silly. You got to look at the power hierarchy. But so I didn't get into who's right and who's wrong. Here's the thing. When when Jack Posobiec, he came out with a tweet saying, okay, in light of the controversy, if anybody wants a refund to the Deplorable tickets, if you bought tickets to the Deplorable, we are honoring all refunds right now. Just you say the word, we'll give you full refund. We're not going to force you to eat that money if you don't want to come in light of the new controversy.
And they sold how many tickets originally? 500?
Well, originally was $500 for $30. Then we got kicked out of that ballroom because we're Trump supporters. They won't ever admit that. No. You'll read officially that it was a little bit of a misunderstanding. No. No.
They said the contract, there were certain parts of it that weren't agreed upon, and there was a misunderstanding of the contractual
The spin doctors were in full effect on that explanation. The truth is that they received a lot of complaints from area DC liberals that, I can't believe you're going to host a deplorable, and then they freaked out and canceled them or didn't allow them to sign a contract. There was no canceling. They didn't quite get the contract signed yet. And they were like, this is great. We don't have a contract with them yet. Let's go ahead and cancel them. So anyway, the event gets moved and they have to sell 500 more tickets and for a way higher price because the new place is the National Press Club, which is right next door to the Capitol. I mean, it's expensive and it's bigger. And they were nice, and they did the contract, and everything's cool, and that can't get canceled. But now it's going to be 1,000 people. It was $99 a ticket, and they got sold out in 2 hours. The original $29 ones took a whole 24 hours, maybe even longer. I feel like it was longer. I feel like the first deplorable tickets took about 48 hours to sell out. They said 24, I think it was 48, maybe 36, whatever. That second round, I think they realized, this is the hottest ticket in town. And they swooped up at $99 a piece like that. So anyway, after that all went down, then the big drama hit.
1,000 tickets sold.
Right. Oh, right. So when Jack Prosobic said you can get your full refund, he got 5.
500 out of 1,000?
No. 5 tickets got refunded.
You mean 50?
No. 5. Like 100 would have been 10%.
Right.
100. That's 10%. 1% would have been 10 of them.
Right.
A half of 1%. A half of 1%.
0.5.
0.5% said, you know what? Now, keep in mind, there may be people who are with Baked Alaska that either A, never knew about the drama, never knew about the refund, or are going to decide to come and troll.
Dude, this is going to be one of those family get-togethers.
Dude, you better have your Periscope ready.
To where Uncle Joe shows up. Everybody's got an Uncle Joe.
Oh man. So anyway, nobody's been banned, nobody's been asked to leave or whatnot, whatever. But they were asked to, if you voluntarily want your refund, you can have it.
Well, there was one guy that was asked to please not go.
Yes, and we won't say his name, but that is somebody
Dude, that was
tried
big
to sneak in.
That was big news, though, wasn't it? No.
It
wasn't on the news?
No.
Oh.
No, absolutely not. So anyway,
his actions were on the news.
Yes, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it.
That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, moving right along.
So you
okay, so this whole drama went down. Baked Alaska got fired. Then all of a sudden we found out that he got fired by Nero back when, way long time ago, and that nobody knows why. And that it was done quietly, and it was kind of like, hey, let's just part ways or whatnot.
He's fired by
Milo.
By Cernovich now.
Oh, of course. Right away.
And then the whole thing is just kind of blown up.
Right. Now, here's where the lies come in. So since then, Baked Alaska has gone public. He's claiming he got banned. He's claiming he's been told not to come. What Mike Cernovich said was, you got to clean up this. He didn't use the word racist, but he said, this Jew questioning to JQ. You've got to clean that up. You got to, this is an adult party where adults do their thing, and you need to act like an adult. Like, yeah, he was belittling him.
You can't be acting like a child.
He didn't use the C word, but he did say that it's time to start acting like an adult, which I 100% agree with Mike Cernovich. There was these young whippersnappers, these millennials, even though they're Trump supporters, they think that you can show up in Washington, D.C., where currently you have to pay $800 to $1,500 a night for a hotel, and go to a free party. Like, literally, he said, I didn't even want to charge anybody anything. I just wanted to have a get together. Sounds like a stoner party.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Right. And Mike's like, well, no, we have to have a venue. And guess what? These venues are expensive and we have to sell tickets. And by the way, because the tickets don't really cover the cost of the ballroom,
right?
Because we're talking like $100,000 to rent the ballroom.
Probably going to lose money on this.
Well, that's okay. He's getting together sponsors. And he was trying to get Mike Cernovich, Breitbart. He's trying to get Breitbart to sponsor and all this stuff. Meanwhile, you have people on the banner talking about Jewish media, Jewish controlled media, and it's like, whoa, dude.
It's Jews, they own it all, man. They own it all. They own Hollywood, they own the media. So I haven't heard Jew hating in such a long time.
It's like, where does this come from? Here's maybe it's because of where we're from. We're from Cincinnati. There are Jews here, but they are
German Jews.
All I can say is they're in such a tiny minority.
Yeah, no.
They don't wear their
yarmulke.
Well, I'm saying they don't wear their religion on their sleeve, and they don't travel in large groups or whatnot. I guess I don't know.
But they don't roam around the streets in wolf packs,
right? And they're this is going to offend a lot of people. But as far as I knew growing up, they look white.
You have offended the entire community of Jews.
Do Jews? I mean,
if you go out to LA, because there's
they
a
look
large,
white to me. I never considered Jewish people not white.
Correct.
Ever.
Huge community of Jews out in LA, and they do roam the streets with the. I'm telling you, 95-degree weather, and they've got the black trench coat thing,
right,
and the black hat with the beard, and it's all
with the
braids,
the sideburns,
the braids. It's all braided, yeah. And if you just shave all that off, it's no white dude,
right? Yeah. Well, we have a Jewish kid on our wrestling team who I didn't know he was Jewish until he started making fun of his own hair. Called it a Jew-fro.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing that happens to the Jewish community.
They have curly hair, whatever. Right. I shouldn't say they all do, but when a Jewish person has that tightly curled hair, they call it a Jew-fro.
Right.
Whatever. So anyway, kind of like the Jon Stewart hair, you know, it's not really curly, but it's got the small curls. Or
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, like when I look at Adam Sandler, I don't say he's not white. He's Jewish. That thought process does not ever enter my brain at all.
No, it doesn't compute.
So anyway, the whole thing is totally confusing to me. I don't know why it's become. So apparently, there's a lot of this anti-Semitism, and I applaud Mike for stamping it out immediately, and for Bill Mitchell recognizing how stupid it is. Meanwhile, Baked Alaska goes on and does his live show, and I was listening to it the other night just out of morbid curiosity.
Dude, that was a rough one.
Well, it turns out he's just one of he's like a famous member of a large community of knockdown, drag out racist.
Right.
I mean, completely. I'm talking fire up the crematory type of Nazi style. I'm not calling them Nazis. I'm saying the kind of anti-Semitism that you saw in the propaganda leading up to World War II in Germany. It's kind of the same rhetoric.
And on Twitter, you'll have these guys tweeting out to Baked Alaska, say, "Man, we got you back, man."
Yeah.
And then he'll retweet that. And in my mind, he's retweeting that as an affirmation, retweeting that as a...
And I'm not going to hold that
Hey, this guy's giving me props. I want everybody to see he's giving me props.
Right.
And this guy, swastikas,
Right. Well, that's even worse.
It's tough.
If you're going to sit here and we should go over some examples of where the line is. That's the funny thing. When I listen to and read all the following on that side, the Baked Alaska side, they are oblivious to the line that you can't cross. And people like Brian and I, we don't not cross the line because we don't want to get in trouble. We're not bigoted. No. So we don't cross the line because we know that doing so would be wrong. Not because we don't want people to think we're not racist.
No, it's just completely inappropriate. It doesn't represent anything that any of our values.
Right. But it's funny because when you listen to their side, they dance on both sides of the line and over the line. And so there's all these lines. Like, for instance, if you don't like American involvement in Israel, or you question why in the world are we giving them so much preferential treatment, or why are we sending them so much aid?
Yeah, I got blasted because I had to come to terms with Obama just gave Israel $85 million.
Right. Okay. Those are legitimate questions. That's fine.
That. Sure.
It has nothing to do with a bigoted judgment of somebody based on their religion. It's like, hey, we have this country called Israel, which, by the way, isn't 100% Jewish, but, whatever. It's a Jewish state, I guess, but there are people that live there that are not Jewish. But anyway, and, if you want to question, and that's legitimate, if you're worried about your country propping up a state because of their religion.
Muslim Brotherhood, Egypt.
Yeah, that's totally legitimate. Totally legitimate. But when you start, and here's where they'll say the double standard is. Well, you're questioning Muslims.
I am. And I am. Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. So why is it okay to question a religion, not just an individual who happens to be a part of a religion, but an individual that you don't even know? He might be a faceless shadow that you can't even see, but all you know about that guy is he's Muslim.
Right.
Why is it okay to have a Muslim question, but not a Jewish question, at least at this point in history?
Because Muslims, if practicing the religion of Islam and following the Quran, are ordered to kill anyone who does not convert. It's the only religion that demands either you enslave them or you kill them.
So for self-preservation, because there are Muslims out there who have no intentions. You could ask them straight up and they could give you an honest answer, because I know one personally who would say, no, I'm not going to perform jihad, and no, I'm not going to mass murder anybody, and I'm not going to kill any infidels. And so there is a distinguishing there. But the fact of the matter is in the world we live in today, you just got to be careful.
And if that individual that was approached by a hardline Muslim practicing Islam and the Quran to the T, they would ask them, are you down or are you not down?
Yeah, and they might get mad at him for not being down.
And kill him. This is, majority of people they kill are Muslims.
Right, so you almost have to distinguish it. When we say that we are questioning Muslims, we're specifically talking about the ones who are practicing it in a manner that requires them to at the very least support the killing of infidels at the very least.
Right, and if you're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to a state-run organization like Egypt and the Muslim Brotherhood that want Sharia law, that want to stamp out freedoms that are absolutely, their ideologies are completely opposite of Americans, then yes, I've got a problem with that. However, Jews, Israel, they're the only successful democracy other than maybe South Korea. It's something that Russia's put together. But Israel is literally the only democracy surviving freedom of speech and freedom to the people and practice your religion as you wish. Just don't harm nobody. Yeah. Their ideas are completely in line with America.
There's a lot of false propaganda coming out of there between the Israel versus Palestine. Pretty much war for the most part.
Andrea Mitchell's got something to say about that later.
One side's accusing the other of something, and the other side's accusing the other something, and something's not adding up. Because the problem is, well, like when Jews encroach on Palestinian land and build houses, and that they don't like that. And they want a Palestinian state, which they don't have. And the thing is there's nothing inherently violent about building a house on a piece of land.
No.
And what the Palestinians do is violent and deadly in retaliation. And when Israel responds to the violence with violence, like the one time there was a just flat out war, tanks rolling in and everything, the Palestinians and those who support them will report that look at all this unprovoked violence. They're shooting rockets into our elementary schools and our hospitals, and it's like, dude, you know good and damn well you are housing military targets in hospitals and elementary schools in order to facilitate your propaganda.
On purpose. It's all on purpose. There was a video that went viral on liveleak.com. LiveLeak lets anything go live, pretty much.
Right.
However, they've banned the beheading videos. They don't do those anymore because it gives too much to Islam.
Yeah.
So, but no, there was a video. One of the Palestinians had a rocket launcher and launched a rocket. His buddy was filming him with his cell phone real far away. Watch him, and all of a sudden, at night, he's bunkered down. All of a sudden, you saw the rocket launch, and it took off. And everybody's, oh, no. They were screaming and yelling. And within, I am not kidding, within seconds, an airstrike took him and the surrounding area out.
I think I saw that. Yeah, that was pretty devastating. So, yeah, that's cool. There's fighting going on there, and there's going to be definitely propaganda, false propaganda coming from one side or the other, and it's your job to try to figure out, and you have to use logic and common sense, and you have to put your biases at the door. And if you have a problem with Jews, you're probably going to be biased.
You need to, if you got a problem with Jews in general, like if you saw a Jew on the street and you clenched up, you're like, I want to call him a Jew. Man, you got some issues.
Well, you might say, yes, I am. But the word Jew itself, I don't know why, has become a derogatory term. I know when I was a kid, a lot of people would use it as an adjective to describe being ripped off. So that's probably part of the reason why. But if you are Jewish, you would be considered a Jew. And that doesn't mean, that's not a derogatory term. That's an actual description of what you are.
And we talked about why the Jews are predominantly in the banking industry, didn't we?
I don't think we talked about it. I think I heard it on Glenn Beck, and I know there's a lot of listeners that are probably like, oh.
Well, it must have been my brother, who is a very, very solid history aficionado.
Maybe did you ask him about it?
Yeah, we were talking about it. He said in German.
I mean, I told you.
Oh.
It may have been me that told you, but we need a little bit more verification on this. But I definitely heard it may have been on a serial with Glenn Beck, but I'm not sure. But apparently during the 30s and 20s and 30s in Germany, there were all kinds of sanctions put on individuals who were Jewish.
Right, and they would go and paint on the side of your business Jew. Yeah. And to let everybody know that the Jew owns this business, don't frequent it.
And it got worse. After a while, you had to wear a Star of David on your outfit.
Dude, that's crazy.
Right. So it got worse over time. But in the meantime, they also made it illegal for them to work in certain places. I believe it was manufacturing, because you got to understand, around the turn of the century and for the next decades leading up to World War II, if you wanted to make bank, you would work at a factory.
Oh yeah.
That's where you wanted to work. If you wanted to be in the middle class, if you wanted to make good money, in America we would call that the American dream. I don't know what they call it in Germany, but yeah, you wanted to be a part of the industrial revolution.
It's Widersteden.
I don't know what that is.
It's Widersteden.
I don't know.
The dream.
Oh, the dream. Okay.
I just made that out.
You just made it up?
You said you don't know what they call it in Germany.
You just made it up.
Widersteden.
That's called fake news. Anyway, so you've tuned into fake news.
Propaganda.
Anyway, so what the Jews ended up having to do in Germany was the only thing that they could. They didn't even find work wherever they could. And apparently, banking was not considered a prestigious enough job in Germany because of the Industrial Revolution to sanction Jews and not allow them to be an employee.
Right.
And so that's where they made their come up. They would climb the corporate ladder in the banking industry. And it's kind of been that way ever since. I mean, think about it. Like my dad. My dad became an engineer. Why did he become an engineer? Because his dad was an engineer. And guess what I did? It was an electrical engineer. My dad was. My grandpa, I don't know what kind of engineer he was. I think mechanical maybe, or chemical, or I don't know. And I went into engineering. And I also learned everything there is to learn about electricity. So somebody could come out and say, "Oh, the Smyth family, they control electricity." You know what I mean?
Well, and look at his brother, my dad.
Yeah, engineering. Yeah.
Look at me running a machine shop.
Right.
It's
so basically what you were raised around is what you're going to end up going into. So if you were a Jew back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, your parents and grandparents were probably in the banking industry. And what do you think that would cause you to do when you grew up? You'd probably be like, you would learn about it from your parents, and that's what you would see every day. Your parents would be either in the bank or coming home from the bank or leaving home to go to the bank.
Right. Hey, I got it now, I think.
You got what? Oh.
Leben der Traum.
Living the dream.
Leben der Traum. Leben den Traum. That is living the dream.
Living the dream.
Thanks for that, Mr. Producer. Anyway, so that's why it appears as though Jews control the banks.
It just happened to be the Germans made them do it.
It's their industry, thanks to what happened in the 30s in Europe.
It's in the genes.
Oh, whatever. I don't think they're allowed to wear jeans.
No, they're not allowed to wear jeans.
Establishment.
There are no jeans now.
Anyway, so so that whole thing, people need to just lighten up.
I got two sound bites. I got one with Kellyanne Conway and Chris Matthews on this racism.
Well, I was going to say, should we the whole controversy? There's a big
wrap it up.
Yeah, I want to wrap this up. We had this big fracture in the Republican Party where you had the establishment, anti-Trump, never Trumpers, and they seem to all go one way, and the vast majority of them stayed there. You got your Paul Ryans, your Lindsey Grahams, and those that support them, your Bushes, your McCains, and all that. And then you had your Trump supporters, and it was a massive fracture. And I don't know if it'll ever recover, whatever. I don't care. Well, since then, the Trump support has definitely fractured into two parts. I really sincerely hope, and I'm speaking for myself here. I hope you do your research, find out the whole controversy, and I hope that you come down on the side of the Kerry Smyth, Mike Cernovich, Bill Mitchell, because if you don't, you need to ask me. You need to say, Kerry, man, I'm really with Baked Alaska here, but I need to hear from you why I'm wrong. And I'll tell you. I'll explain it to you very clearly so you understand where the lines are and why you can't judge individuals who are just doing their thing and living their life based on the fact that they happen to follow the religion of Judaism. Or maybe they're not even religious at all, but they have parents that were Jewish and they have a funny looking nose and whatnot, or they have funny looking hair. And all of a sudden you look at him and you're like, oh, I don't like you because your people control banks. This is wrong.
Yeah,
you can't go down that road.
No, just dumb.
But if you need me to explain it further, DM me in Twitter or whatever at Smyth Radio, and I'll explain to you further. I don't want you to block me. I don't want you to unfollow me. I don't think you should block or unfollow Mike Cernovich or Bill Mitchell or any of those. I think you need to learn. You need to mature and grow and understand that I've been where you've been at. I back when I didn't know any better, I was too stupid to know. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm just saying that I was dumb and I didn't know where the lines were and I didn't know the difference between right and wrong. And now that I'm so much older and more mature and an adult and whatnot, I can clearly see where the wrong in that thinking is.
Yes.
So that's my final word on it. I don't want to sit here and talk down to a bunch of people and tell them that they're bad people and that they're wrong. Some of them really are bad people. And those people, please, I'm like reluctant to even click on anything that they type on Twitter, but I'm not going to block them. I'm not yet anyway. If they attack me, I probably block them. But just keep an open mind and realize that we are on the side of the righteous. And I'm going to tell you right now, until Baked Alaska realizes why Mike is right and why he's wrong, I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Well, he's going to fade off into obscurity because
he'll always have that underground network of Jew-hating bigots.
Right, you're going to always have a group of underlings that hate certain groups. It's always out there. How relevant are they? I'm going to tell you right now, in my personal opinion, is that Baked Alaska. In this world and day and age we live
His
in,
opinion is going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, you ain't going very far with that.
No. And you're not going to get into places like the deplorable.
Right, where are you going to build on? How are you going to build on that?
It's not because it's Jew-controlled. It's because your opinion is morally reprehensible.
Right. For all I know, you might be a paid shill for the Clintons.
There you go.
Because your ideas do not align with Kellyanne Conway, who's speaking for Donald J. Trump.
And by the way, this is another thing. All those people, I'm not kidding, this is important. All those people are 100% behind Trump. They believe, and this is important, if you're on the side of Bake Alaska, do not fall for the delusion, because you're wrong, that the Trump movement was about this. It was not.
No, because you're going down the road and you're sitting in the seat with Don Lemon. They called it a white lash.
Oh, no, that was Van Jones. They both agree. They're both.
They're both on CNN, aren't they?
They're both communists.
Okay,
and they're both
enough.
idiots. But anyway, so there's this belief. They believe that Donald Trump is a real, true modern day Hitler, and that he's just being quiet about it until he gets enough power to strike. I think they believe that, because if not, why would you support Donald Trump?
I have no idea why.
His daughter is Jewish. She's a converted Jew. She's married to a Jew. This is and they love him and they love her. What the heck are you guys talking about? It's ridiculous.
Beyond me, I have no words.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, all right, let's see what Kelly Conway has to say about this.
To the American people, if you can sit here right now and tell me as a brilliant political mind what Hillary Clinton's message was, I'm listening. What was it? All I heard was, we're not Donald Trump. That's not a message. That's a screed. They lost.
Well, that's right. By the way, James Carville said that on election night right here when I was sitting with Rachel and Brian.
And look, scapegoating, white supremacy, scapegoating, Jim Comey, Russian interference, fake news, Bernie Sanders. He had the audacity to run. Why did he do that? How about he won 22 states and 13 million voters, and they never fully assimilated him back in? And then anytime I respond, anytime I defend myself against these specious allegations that are now leading to death threats, so I really resent it. Anytime I try to respond, I'm seen as ungracious. Why are we sore winners? I'm not a sore winner. I'm a winner. My guy's a winner. He's an ex-president of the United States. This has to stop, Chris. This incendiary rhetoric of people who just can't admit that they lost. It has to stop, because it's costing a lot of angst.
I agree with you. I also hope that, and I don't think you have any control of this, I hope the racists and the bad guys and the white nationalists stay away from your inauguration, because they will show up.
Look, I do too. Listen,
I'm sorry.
I know a month ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I would have said, oh, here we go, calling us all racist. But after this Baked Alaska debacle, I mean, Chris has got a point.
I don't know.
That's sad.
Yeah, but I don't know if Chris knows. I think Chris is just doing that just because that's standard protocol.
I'll bet you he was never let in that what he was saying is true. He thought he was lying.
With the Confederate battle flag, they'll be bombing around the city. You can know that'll happen. You don't want it to happen. I know you don't.
And Chris, I really hope that the rabble-rousers, the protesters on both sides stay away. In other words, this is a president who is trying to reach out. He's working with the current president. He's working with He works with Secretary Clinton. She didn't just congratulate him on election night. I was right there. He was on my phone. She conceded to him. And it's time for people 1 month later who just can't get over the election result to realize that he is their president, and that take a clue from Hillary Clinton, take a clue from President Obama. Try to give this guy the berth that he needs to form his government and try to have a peaceful transfer of democracy. Donald Trump has denounced many times, including recently, and very passionately, these white supremacies, these white nationalists, the alt-right. He's done that many times. For those who want to hear it, they should hear it. For those who refuse to listen to it, please stop using it as an excuse.
Okay, thank you, Kellyanne. And on the other point, teach them to dance. Anyway, thank you, Kellyanne Conway of the Trump Transition. Great to have you on. Thank you.
I'm dancing with you at the inaugural.
Oh, gosh. Am I going to have to dance at that ball?
Yes.
By the way, I'm taking my sister. She's going to be my date. And she's excited. She is so fired up. She not only can't wait to find a dress for herself, she can't wait to go shopping for something for me to wear.
You guys, that's special. Special.
I don't know who she's going to dance with, but I might do one dance with my sister.
You gotta.
I know. Anyway, so if you guys see me with a date, you actually can't hit on her because she's married.
Correct.
So anyway.
And since we were talking about Jews, that's been a huge hot topic, hot button, this past 9 days. Not last Friday, but Friday before that. So 9 days ago, when Obama signaled to the ambassador at the UN to not vote at all, stand down, don't even vote.
And we need to explain that a little bit. My dad actually hooked me up with a very concise.
Right. I talked to him about that too, by the way.
Good.
I had to go to some educated sources that were plugged into the media and get the details of what was going on. But apparently every year, or probably even more than every year.
Probably a bunch.
A bunch of times, because it's coming out now that somebody proposes at the UN to order sanctions on Israel all the time. And this it happens to other countries as well, from other countries that are bickering and squabbling back and forth. And, why not hit on beat up on the Jews a little bit more and beat up on Israel a little bit more? It's kind of an easy target. So we'll go back to that Palestine thing, and we'll just throw up a resolution to say some of that land.
Sanction
that land.
Israel and punish them and whatnot. Here's what I really didn't know. The UN, whatever. It seems like all I can think of in the UN is like the big round meeting area.
It is an awful organization. It is an atrocity to human rights at the very least, because you have to have a record of good human rights to be a part of the UN. Yet there's all kinds of dictators and murderers, and it's just awful.
Yeah, and
we got to pay money to be in it.
A lot of
hundreds
money.
of millions of dollars.
We support the whole damn thing.
Yes,
and it's stupid. But anyway, it's just an attempt to create one world government.
The globalist, right?
It's a big globalist cabal. So here's the thing: there's like 5 member states in the UN who have veto power over any of these kinds of resolutions, and that's these are the most powerful countries because of the fact that when it was created initially, they didn't want a bunch of backward countries to take over, and America has one of the veto powers, and so
it's China,
okay,
France, Russia, UK, and the US.
Okay. So those are the 5 members that have veto power. So if any one of those 5 most powerful countries decide that they don't like what's being proposed, any one of those 5 can put it down, which means that just about anything that gets proposed and passes in the UN has to have the unanimous support of those 5 veto states. And then there's all these other countries that vote that don't have that veto power. So every single time the UN gets together. They try to beat up on Israel. And every single time, the U.S. vetoes it.
Right.
That's why we're there to vote. We are there to veto the sanctions on Israel. And that's what we've always done. By not voting, because my initial thought was when I heard that we didn't vote against this Israel thing.
We didn't vote for it either.
We didn't vote for it. We didn't vote against it.
Just absent.
So I thought, so what? We didn't vote. We should have voted. Would it have mattered? Turns out, yes, it would have absolutely mattered because we were supposed to veto it like we always do. So for the first time, the United States allowed the world to beat up on Israel.
Right, and I was thinking because Russia has veto power, Russia certainly would veto this because Israel's a democracy and people are encroaching on their land. Newt Gingrich came out and said, and this is him saying this quote, so Russia having illegally occupied Crimea, eastern Ukraine, votes to condemn Israel for current occupied lands. We're supposed to be impressed. What? So the land that Israel is currently occupying, Russia said, yeah, you shouldn't have that.
Yeah, they got to give it back.
And if you look at the original map of Israel, it was so much larger.
Right.
So
the
much larger.
Palestinians are fighting because they want their own state too. The thing is, okay, Israel. Do we know exactly why Israel got their own state? Because up until, what was it, the 60s or something like that, Israel did not exist at all. Jews had no homeland anywhere in the world. They had to just fit in wherever they could. And then you had the Holocaust of World War II.
Right.
And then afterwards they said we got to give the Jews a state, which would be Israel. And then that's what they did. At the time, it was currently occupied by Palestinians, and so from day one, they were like, this is our land, and you guys just took it for the Jews?
Well, if you think about why did they take that land specifically, because that land specifically
was where Israel was historically, right?
Right, correct.
Yeah.
It's the chosen land, the land that in the Bible, this is the land that has been chosen by God for the Jews. This is it. It's right here. And the Palestinians say, no, well, look at my book. My book says the whole world is my land. No, I don't know. Just if you're going by the Quran says all of it.
Yeah, and
theirs.
The Palestinians, I don't know. Aren't they just Muslim?
Pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So
committing jihad and they
have all kinds of places all over the Middle East that they could go that are Islamic states.
Correct.
So for them to sit there and say that we want this land where Israel is, I think is just trolling.
Well, that and they love the war.
And to give call me ignorant. I'm sorry if I sound ignorant, but I really don't know this stuff. Why is it that the Palestinians need their own state? If they're just following the Quran and they're Muslims following Islam,
right?
Couldn't they just live in Egypt? Couldn't they live in Syria? Why do they have to live right there? And why do they have to live in Israel or next to Israel or wherever? Why are they upset that Israel occupies that land? And so that's the issue I have with it. Israel needs to be a state, I think. It's the only place in the entire world that's a Jewish state.
Right.
So everything that we've known about the persecution of the Jews for the past 100 years seems to be solved with a Jewish state of Israel.
Correct.
So I'm not Jewish. I'm not a shill for Jews. I don't have anything inherently against Palestinians. It just doesn't make sense that they have as much of an argument for a Palestinian state as the Jews did for a Jewish state of Israel.
Right. And they're also there's a video where ISIS members are urging Palestinians to fight, to actively fight for the caliphate.
Right.
So they're in bed with or share at least at very bare minimum share the same ideologies that ISIS does. And the thing is that when if you want peace, you could have peace right now in the Middle East. If you want it between Palestinians and Israel, if you want peace, you could have it instantly. Just tell Palestinians, quit killing people. Quit launching rockets. Quit trying to attack Israel at every corner, every time. Even when I was a kid, I remember growing up where Sharon, I believe, was the leader in Israel that went ahead. And I'm sorry, folks, if you kill me on the name, but went ahead and gave up the land over in Gaza Strip for peace.
Oh yeah.
How'd that work out?
It didn't work out, and turns out they've done it to themselves. They're not going to get any concessions, because of the fact that their argument for concessions has turned out to be lies over the years.
Right.
So, anyway, so that's kind of our opinion on Israel versus Palestine.
I've got a soundbite. The ambassador to Israel.
What about Kerry's speech? Explaining why they, basically chastising the hell out of Netanyahu.
1 hour and 13 minutes long.
I listened to it.
I cannot believe that.
I did. I said, you know what? I need to educate myself. Did
you get dumber afterwards?
No, I got angry.
Okay.
I was angry because he is such, I can't say anything other than anti-Israel, maybe anti-Semite.
Well,
I mean,
now that you say that,
what is going on? I have no internet.
Did you unplug yourself?
I have no internet. What is this?
So John Kerry, and this will kind of put it into context of where he's from, like his mental state of mind, if you will. Back during the Iran nuclear arms deal, they asked John Kerry. They said, "Hey, if a nuclear arms deal with Iran, hey, are you close to reaching an agreement?" Kerry responded with one word. He said, "Inshallah, inshallah," which in Arabic means Allah willing. So John Kerry spoke Arabic, Allah willing, we'll have an arms agreement. If you are the Secretary of State to use that language when, first off, you're dealing with a terrorist nation. That's first and foremost. And secondly, they're Muslim. They want Sharia law, human rights violations, all this stuff. And then you go ahead and you respond to them in their native language, their native tongue, and praising their God. Who is the God of war? Literally. This is where John Kerry's coming from.
The God of pedophilia and all that kind of stuff.
He's the God of a lot of that stuff.
When we were talking, I'm sorry. There's Allah. And then there's Muhammad.
Oh, Muhammad, definitely down with the pedophilia.
I believe that Allah is the same God as our God. It's just they have a big book of lies, is what I believe.
Oh, no.
Well, there's only one God, one creator. When they talk about Allah, they're obviously talking about God.
They're referring to, and it literally was a false God, God Baal, Baal, originally. Is a false God, and they don't believe that our God
is the same. Hell no! Well, you throw that on top of the giant pile of lies.
Correct.
So anyway.
Correct.
So if you hear words like Zionist, they like to use that as a derogatory cuss word label. I'm not a Zionist. Well, if you just go by the strict definition, it just means that you believe that Jews should have their own state. That's all it means. So if you believe that, yes, you are a Zionist.
That's an evil thing to be.
No, it's just, of course. I mean, things didn't work out too well when Jews had to live wherever they could throughout the world.
Right.
Because obviously there's some people that are intolerant.
Right.
But
and
anyway.
I start to put these people on sides. I put them on the side of good and the side of bad.
You got that line in the sand.
Right. So if you do something repeatedly whether it be verbally, physically, your decision-making process, I'm going to put you on a bad side or a good side. Obama, bad side. John Kerry, bad side. Hillary Clinton, bad side. Most all of them, bad side. Every decision they've ever made pretty much puts them on the bad side.
Pretty much, yeah. 180 degrees opposite of righteousness.
French Prime Minister hails Kerry's speech as epic. Okay,
epic? What is he, like 15?
He should have been epic fail.
Oh, yeah.
So I now put the Prime Minister of France on the bad side.
Okay.
And then I look at his history of all the things they're doing in France.
Do we have to boycott French fries again?
It's American.
It's like every 5 years. Every 5 years we have to boycott French fries. And French toast.
So we're trying to determine what's right and what's wrong. All the people coming out for this resolution are winding up on the bad side.
Okay. So one of the things that stuck out, the entire 90-minute speech, the one thing that made me stop and cause my jaw to drop like the Tom and Jerry cartoons, slam on the ground, is when he said that Israel has to make a decision.
That is the line that everybody's... Yes!
They have to make a decision. They either have to decide whether they're going to be a Jewish state or a democracy. But they can't be both.
What is that? Wait, what do you mean you can't be both?
It shows that he has a fundamental misunderstanding of the way the relationship between religion and government. A fundamental misunderstanding. He's completely clueless. He doesn't understand how religion works, how government works, or how they work together. I mean, we talked about this on this show years ago. The Ottoman Empire was a Muslim empire, and I told my dad about, like, what do you know about it? He said they had all kinds of religions there. They were tolerant of Christians in the Ottoman Empire. Could you imagine John Kerry saying, Ottoman Empire, you need to make a decision.
Yeah, you can't be
have to either be an Islamic state or you need to be a democracy, but you can't be both.
So what does that say about America?
And let me tell you something. When I was on those Swift boats, I had to make a decision to throw everybody overboard or run it aground. I couldn't do both, because if I did, then I wouldn't be here today. So I did one.
Did he run it ashore?
I don't know. I have a plate in my head now.
He does. He smokes
I can't
weed.
remember anything.
No, lots of weed back in Nam.
And let me tell you something else.
So
I like my little I never did John Kerry.
No, I haven't done John Kerry yet. So then what would John Kerry say about America?
With regard to
Christianity and democracy.
Well, we're not a Christian state.
Oh, okay. So we're good to go then.
First of all, we're not Christian. We have freedom from religion here.
Okay.
We don't allow any religion. You are free to be away from all religions.
What if I'm Muslim? I'm practicing Islam.
We used to be a democracy. Then you elected Obama.
So he slips and tells the truth.
Oh, yeah. No, what I meant was the opposite. Yes. You rang.
You rang. That's exactly what you rang.
Oh. When I was assembled back in the 1800s.
When they put me together.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. Okay, so as Chuck Schumer stated, who was
my gosh,
who's a lefty.
That's an understatement.
He said, and I had to read this twice, but I'll read it once for you. He said, Kerry's speech today has emboldened the extremist.
Which extremist?
On both sides.
Oh, come on.
Oh, so I interrupted you. Go ahead. Say what the one line that everybody's talking about that Kerry said.
Repeat it?
Yeah.
Israel needs to make a decision. they either have to be a Jewish state or a democracy. They can't be both. Because if they did, that would not make sense to me. I mean, how can you be a Jewish state and allow people to vote? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So clearly a decision has to be made. I would hope that they take the high road and not be Jewish at all.
Cut out the Jewism.
They should let all the Palestinians in, and then they should all kill themselves.
Okay.
In a mass suicide.
Okay.
That way they could avoid the inevitable genocide that is going to come by just genociding themselves.
I am so glad we have such a highly intelligent Secretary of State. The Secretary of State, the face of America around the world, is a complete jackball.
Because if you're Jewish, you clearly can't vote.
No.
And you shouldn't allow, or you can't allow voting because you're a Jewish state.
Okay, so the ambassador to Israel, his name's Ron Dermer.
Okay.
This is what he had to say on John Kerry.
This administration, President Barack Obama, came into office thinking that the whole reason why we don't have peace with the Palestinians is because of the question of settlements. I remember we had just finished this war in Gaza, where we had thousands of rockets that landed on our heads, and that was a few years after we had withdrawn from Gaza and uprooted, not frozen, uprooted 21 settlements. And
that's the one I was telling you about when I was a kid, younger.
Okay.
They literally uprooted 21, which was thousands and thousands of people in their houses.
One settlement would be like a town.
Okay. So he's talking a handful of towns, picked them up and moved them.
Said, y'all got to move because Palestinians don't want to move. They want to move. They want to move right into your spot.
Your house, the one you built, your house you built with your own hands.
Well, they end up tearing them down because they didn't want to.
They didn't want the Jew cooties.
No. The
literally.
Jewish people voluntarily tore them down because they didn't want to see Palestinians shooting AK-47s in the air on their own roofs that they built.
Yeah, that makes sense.
all of a sudden, in the early days of the administration, as the prime minister came to Washington, this became the be-all and end-all. You have to do something on the issue of the settlements. And guess what the prime minister did? He did a freeze. And what happened? The Palestinians stayed out of negotiations. So this is not a new story. This is not the building up of all sorts of years and some new policy. It was deeply disappointing that this administration in its waning days laid the blame for the failure to achieve peace at Israel. Just one other point. This was a 72-minute speech, and yet they did not discuss that Israel made a sweeping peace offer in 2000 that was met by a Palestinian rejection and a wave of terrorism that claimed 1,000 Israeli lives. They did not mention that in 2008, another Israeli prime minister made a sweeping peace offer that was also rejected by the Palestinians. The reason why we don't have peace is because the Palestinians have rejected the state of the Jewish people in any boundary. And
that's it.
Who was that?
The ambassador to Israel,
I thought you
Ron
said it
Dermer.
was Chuck Schumer. I'm like, what?
No. Chuck Yu was saying that there was Kerry emboldened the
both sides.
Both radicals
on both sides.
No, so what he's talking about, he's laying this out, and nobody's going to hear this. I mean, this isn't going to be talked about. Hey, guys, in 2000 and 2008, huge peace offering, huge peace deals, completely rejected because out of all the peace deals, Palestinians want one thing: the annihilation of Jews.
Let's just agree on the initial premise here. Once everybody's on the same page, when everybody's on the same page, and that is that what's really the goal here is to eliminate not only Israel but all the Jews that are within it.
Right.
Then everything not only makes sense, but then you can start to negotiate from a position of intelligence. Because why would you make concessions to a group of people acting like they're disenfranchised when really they're that's just an ulterior motive. Their real motive is to eliminate you.
Correct. So now if you look at the sides we're falling down on, we're really throwing John Kerry on the wrong side. It's 100%.
Absolutely. My gosh, he couldn't have made it any more clear. You have to be an anti. And here's my question: if I don't know, I got a tickle in my throat. If you are a Baked Alaska or somebody that's on the side of Baked Alaska, how can you support Trump? Or aren't you on the side of John Kerry here?
If you support Baked Alaska, yes, you are.
I mean, you're anti-Zionist, probably anti-Semite. You've got to be on John Kerry's side here. How are they not coming out and praising him?
They probably would. They probably would, but maybe they're caught up in the emotions of the breakup. So check this out. The resolution takes away land from Israel that they're actually living on right now and says that the people that are living here are now in violation of international law.
Yes, because of the UN resolution, right.
So Benjamin Netanyahu, this went down on Friday, 2 Fridays ago. So Netanyahu shows up on Sunday, Christmas Day, in the illegal area, violating international law, for prayer and lighting the menorah.
So what do we predict out of this?
I'm just saying he's definitely defying the resolution. He's defying the UN.
I would too. And here's why. There's 2 reasons. Number one, if you give up the land now, doesn't matter who's going to be president, doesn't matter who votes on what in the UN. Now you've given up, what is it, possessions, 90% ownership?
Right.
I mean, that's one thing. And number 2, UN ain't going to do jack crap. They never will. No. As soon as Donald Trump's in there and they know that they have no alliance with him whatsoever, so whatever they decide to do, they're not going to have the United States on board with it.
Right. Correct. Oh.
They're not going to be able to do anything.
And it just popped in my head again. Sorry about that. Baked Alaska guys, they're on board with John Kerry because they're probably praising Paul Ryan.
Okay.
Or was he for Russia? No, Paul Ryan's for Russia. No, Paul Ryan's for Obama.
I don't want to fill our listeners up with information that could end up being false. I don't mean to speak for Baked Alaska, but they're all about they love using the cuck word now. I mean, we love using it too, but they love to use the cuck word against fellow Trump supporters who are not on board with the anti-Semitism and anti-POCs and just everything. Like, oh, you don't want to say it. That's because you're a cuck. You know.
Right.
That being said, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say that they're on board with anything on the left whatsoever. So it's kind of weird. Even though the left is also anti-Semitic. I almost feel like they would say, well, yeah. John Kerry, total cuckball, liberal guy. But you know what? He's right about Israel. I mean, that's probably what they would say. I hate to speak on their behalf, but...
Okay, so check this out. Egypt had proposed this sanction, and Trump actually called them and said, whoa. Before this goes down, can we talk about this? Trump literally got involved, got in the middle of this, unsuccessfully. However, Israel, and this is land that Israel is building on currently, this is their land. Egypt said, no, you got to stop, no more building. And so after this resolution went through, Benjamin Netanyahu opened up the book and said, oh, hey, by the way, these are the plans for the thousands of homes and apartment complexes. We're not stopping. This ain't going to stop. This is what we're doing.
I would dare. I think the worst case scenario that can happen to Benjamin Netanyahu, the very worst case scenario, would be that once the world finds out that the UN isn't going to do anything to stop them from ignoring the UN, that the Middle East will say, well, they're not going to stop us from going ahead and invading Israel at this point, and then commit their caliphate by invading and taking over Israel. Which you may say, oh, they're a nuclear power. How's that possible? Well, what are they going to do? Nuke themselves?
Right.
I mean, it's a small country. If they invade onto Israeli land, the only way to stop that with nukes is to nuke yourself, kind of like the way Russia was going to do when we were going to invade them during the Cuban Missile Crisis. They were going to nuke their own beaches.
Right.
So
the article that I pulled up is from the BBC. They're saying that about 500,000 Jews live in about 140 settlements since 1967. With the occupation of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, settlements are considered illegal under international law, although Israel disputes this. So I don't know if this is saying all of Israel, but there's an awful lot. I mean, this is probably one of the worst things. I can't really think of anything that has been so underhanded, so diabolical, if you will, that Obama has done, other than being involved with Hillary and the email scandal and Pizzagate and
by the way,
and all that. I mean, this is just the
jury's still out on the Pizzagate thing.
That's why I brought it back up. So one last soundbite. This is Dr. Sebastian Gorka on the whole Obama, Israel, and how to make Israel great again. Trump making America great, which is great.
Let's just look at what the legacy is. The legacy is that whoever you are, if you love America, if you want to be our friend, this administration will abandon you and will weaken you. Remember, the people who helped get President Obama elected were sent by this administration to Israel to try and defeat the re-election of Prime Minister Netanyahu.
True.
That wasn't the soundbite, however. That was part of, that's something that we need to remember.
Yeah.
That this whole thing, Obama literally paid a nonprofit organization with taxpayer dollars to overthrow Yahoo.
By democratically, but he certainly
Bibi
meddled in the election.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm beside myself on this whole thing. It's just
projection
so
why they thought Russia was meddling in our election. Meanwhile,
out of projection,
projection, absolutely,
100%. It's just such a nightmare. So, like I said, Trump tried to get Israel to change at the last minute. They wouldn't do it. Somebody had made the comment that even if Egypt doesn't go and push through with the resolution, that they were going to do it anyways. So it was kind of a moot point on Trump, and it's just unfortunate. Breitbart reports Palestinian Authority has been in contact with the Obama administration and European countries about the possibility of bringing more resolutions before Obama leaves office.
My God.
So within the next 21 days, the Palestinian Authority is in cahoots with Egypt and who knows, people that don't want Israel to have their own state or to get rid of whatever they're doing. It's just an absolute unfortunate.
You're just a Zionist.
I am.
That's all you are.
Apparently I am. Oh, man. So, I know we did an entire show on Russia, the Russia hacking, but that was the other big thing that went down on.
Well, the Russia hacking thing continues to be fake news, and it won't go away.
Now that is what Paul Ryan is signed on for.
Really?
Yes.
Please, and fill me in, dude.
No, Paul Ryan he's all in with Obama sanctioning Russia.
Oh, so that's the news. We haven't been on for 2 weeks. We haven't had a chance to record it.
This went down.
But since
Thursday,
we've been on last,
right, Thursday.
So we have sanctions against Russia, and how stupid can Obama be?
And I've been following WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks has been putting out some great news recently, as if they were reporting news.
Which they do.
Yeah.
They've never been wrong about anything.
10 years, not been wrong about one single thing.
Proven wrong about anything.
So WikiLeaks put this up, said sanctions on Russia and Obama expels 39 diplomats, closing I think there's like 3 different offices. And not only did they close 3 offices, but they're referring to those offices. The 39 Russian diplomats are spies, according to Obama.
Oh, jeez.
And the offices are referred to as recreational areas.
Why?
Well, as I was watching WikiLeaks, Obama may be in violation of the Vienna Convention, and he may not be allowed to just do this without being in violation.
Geneva Convention or Vienna?
Vienna.
Okay.
So if he does this and he's in violation, but he rewords it and says all those offices were recreational facilities.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you see the twisted logic that these people play? They constantly lie, cheat, and steal. And something else WikiLeaks said, they said these sanctions are on hacking and voting machines.
Okay, guys.
And not on WikiLeaks. It's on hacking and voting machines.
But this is not even, this goes against the narrative. The narrative was supposed to be that some really high-level Russians, from Rocky IV, remember his facility where he worked out?
Oh, yeah.
Well, imagine putting cubicles in there, all right?
Oh, yeah.
And the hackers are like really nicely, perfectly dressed in military uniforms, and they're in there typing away on the computer, hacking. And they got the multiple displays. It looks like something from the Matrix or something. What, just one click at a time?
I got it.
One click at a time? Come on. Anyway, no. So these hackers hack into the DNC, get all of those private emails from Podesta and from Hillary and from everybody, and then take that information and say, wow, we could actually destroy the U.S. election with this information.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and, how would we get it to the American public?
Through Twitter. Through Twitter. Let's contact that Julian guy.
That'd be WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
Twitter would be Jack Dorsey.
Well, I mean, that's where WikiLeaks is dumping, where I get the news right away.
Right. But you could actually log into WikiLeaks.com. So anyway, Snowden, he put 90,000 documents from the government on WikiLeaks.
He sure did.
Let's go ahead and do that. And so they did it. And Julian Assange is like, hey, man, this will be great for my brand, right? So we're going to go ahead and, do our thing with it, process it.
Because we're coming up on our 10th year anniversary. This would be a nice send-off. Don't think by any stretch of the means that Julian Assange is not full of himself.
Oh, he is, yeah.
Because he is, and he believes that he's better than Americans.
Be careful not to fall into that he's doing this to help America.
No, he's making fun of us.
I'm sure he's cracking up laughing over this. So anyway, and we just enjoy that the joke is on the DNC.
Yeah, it's all that matters.
So anyway, that's what the narrative was supposed to be. And so the Russians did that. They hacked the DNC. They found the information they wanted. They knew it was going to adversely affect the election for the DNC. They also hacked, this was part of the narrative, they also hacked the RNC and found just as bad information. But they held on to that because they wanted to manipulate the election in Donald Trump's favor, not Hillary Clinton.
The truth comes out in the wash, though. When all this shook out, the facts started to hit the ground.
Yeah, you got to look for the facts. You got to listen for the facts. You got to do your own research. Come to find out, and you have to get through. You have to hack through. Sorry for the word. Sorry for the pun. You have to hack through the fact that the mainstream media is censoring vital information that would get you the full story. They're censoring that.
Correct.
So once you get through their censors, the mainstream media censors, what you find out the truth is that some DNC guys, or maybe some disgruntled DNC hackers, or not even hackers. They just have access to this information and they leaked it. Or possibly some hackers elsewhere, somewhere,
right,
decided they really hate the Clintons. They really hate the Democrats. They hate progressivism. They hate communism, and they're sick and tired of it in the United States. So they attack the progressivism in America by attacking the Democrat Party. They find all this damning information, and they decide, well, we could go to jail for hacking all this. So how do we prevent being discovered, at the same time getting this information out to the public? We'll give it to Julian Assange.
Right. So Seth Rich decides to that was the DNC staffer walking down the streets of DC.
Oh my goodness.
To meet with the FBI.
Yeah.
And he was robbed.
Not really. He was murdered.
He was murdered.
Wasn't robbed, though. It was reported as a robbery because that is what they were told to report it as. The problem is that the murderers didn't get the memo, or they didn't follow on the instructions properly. They were supposed to actually rob him so that the narrative makes sense. Narrative didn't make sense when you find out he didn't get robbed.
Might have been the same robbers who shot Vince Foster with a gun that doesn't work.
Well, no, the gun they shot him with worked. But the gun they planted on him
didn't work, right?
So,
dude, these guys are diabolical. They're just messing with us.
Oh, you're saying they did that on purpose?
Yeah, they're trolls.
Watch this.
They're hitmen trolls.
No, this is what it was. The murderers were reluctant. They didn't want to do it, but they were blackmailed. And they were so mad, they were like, how can we get the word out? And they put a broken gun on him.
Yeah. See, it was their job. And they're like, well, I mean, I got to do my job.
Okay, but Brian, you are to go in to Vince Foster's office. You are to put the gun to his head at point blank range. It must be point blank. And then you're to you put his fingerprints on it and leave the gun right there where it would have fallen had it been a suicide. Okay, that is what your job is.
Yeah, man, but I like Vince Foster. I see him in the halls at lunchtime.
You know what we got on you.
Right.
We got all that child porn.
It's my job. It's my job.
So, yeah, we sent you to Comet Pizza, right? Now we have photos.
Yeah,
all right? Okay. So go and do it. Now you go in there and you're like, these sons of bitches.
They got me over the hill, but I'll tell you what.
I'm going to get them.
I'm going to get them.
I'm going to shoot him from 6 feet away. And and after he's dead, I'm going to break the gun. And then the FBI gets there, and they're like, well, let's do forensics on this gun. It doesn't even work.
Yeah, it don't even work.
And by the way, we know this to be a fact because Gary Byrne, Secret Service agent Gary Byrne, said that that's what his peeps told him.
Gary Byrne's a cool guy.
Yeah. He can't be worried about getting murdered now because they had ample opportunity to murder him.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah, it'd be too obvious.
When the book, he's got the book out. Yeah. Once you start to get a little bit of fame and notoriety, you can't.
He has nothing on him anymore.
Right.
At least not that we know of.
So all of a sudden, these facts start to hit the ground.
Yeah.
And they realize that, the RNC, Reince Priebus, actually called the CIA and the FBI and said, hey, you guys come over here. Look at our stuff.
Make sure we didn't get hacked.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm the head of the RNC, but I don't know what I'm doing.
He acts like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm telling you.
Did you hear about the drunken interview he did with Sean Hannity?
Oh, Lord.
Remember he said, the Republican Party is choosing their nominee. Let them do their thing. Well, that caused a firestorm, and right after that, Sean Hannity interviewed him like 2 days later, and he was crap-faced.
Oh, wow.
He was slurring, and it was hilarious. But anyway, go ahead.
Like Mariah Carey last night.
He was like Mariah Carey.
So the CIA, the FBI, everybody shows up. They go through the RNC's computers, all their network, all their systems. You know what, guys? Yeah, I don't think you guys were hacked.
We find no evidence of it.
Yeah, no evidence you guys were hacked whatsoever.
So meanwhile, the Democrats lie to everybody and by Democrats, I mean mainstream media.
Right.
They go out and say, well, we know that the RNC was hacked too. Why didn't the Russians release that information? Well, first of all, they weren't hacked, and second of all, the Russians didn't do it. So, Anyway, did you hear about Tom Arnold?
I
may have been blocked by him.
I saw that tweet that you put out on him. Yeah. That's funny that his ex-wife, Roseanne Barr, apparently she's down with us. She's pretty cool. She's all right.
She's Jewish.
And
when this thing went down with the UN, she blew up.
She's been blowing up on Twitter. Like, she'll get on there of a night and just like there's nothing else to do.
I got breaking news.
Okay.
Tom Arnold has not blocked me yet.
Ooh.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it were to come soon.
Oh, my goodness.
However, so check this out. The White House announced that the new sanctions on 9 entities and individuals, including 2 Russian intelligence services, and I think this is quoting Obama, the state or his speaker, says the State Department is also shutting down 2 Russian compounds in Maryland and New York used by Russian personnel for intelligence related purposes, and is declaring persona non grata 35 Russian intelligent operatives, shutting down 35 Russian operatives, and they refer to them as spies. And so this is what the White House released. Obama said, all Americans should be alarmed by Russia's actions, in which, according to U.S. intelligence, hacking emails from the DNC and John Podesta and giving them to WikiLeaks. This is malice, cyber activity, only been directed by the highest levels of the Russian government. And something else I gotta say, this is unexpected level of harassment.
What?
In Moscow by Russian security services and police over the last year. It's been going on for a year. Right? He said the harassment of our government officials in Russia.
Is that even happening?
This is warranted.
That warrants it.
They're being harassed over there, man.
What a child.
And the level of harassment is unprecedented.
This is what happens when you treat children like snowflakes in school. You know, we grew up with bullies.
Yes, we did.
Harassment. This is what happens when you protect children from bullies.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
They're like, we're being harassed, and for that, we're going to put sanctions.
Right.
And if you don't stop harassing us, we're going to go ahead and launch an amphibious operation to your shoreline with our machine gun, and we're going to send Marine Corps 5 and SEAL Team Echo. And
we still got SEAL Team 6? No,
they're gone. They had to get rid of them.
5? We got 5.
Well, they had to get rid of them because they knew that they didn't kill Osama bin Laden.
What?
I mean, no offense. Trust me, I know you can kill him. But when you go out of your way to destroy the evidence by throwing it overboard into the sea, supposedly, the alleged.
And what's so funny is that he used that. Just danced that all over the place. And then when Hillary was running, she danced it too. She danced it. She killed Osama bin Laden.
Well, they made up that narrative so that they can dance all over it.
Right.
And they dump some poor... one of the most emotional times I've ever heard Rush Limbaugh was when he talked about the janitor in that pill factory that had to lose his life because Bill Clinton needed to get the media off his back about Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, and the movie that came out, Wag the Dog.
Yeah, it came out right after that all happened.
I was shocked. I almost thought it was a joke, that it didn't really happen, Because I was so young.
Documentary.
I was so young.
Wag the Dog was a documentary.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, this is kind of a joke. Oh, it's a joke. It's not real. But it was real.
I'm sure the administration was like, what's up with this movie? How did they get the cameras there? Oh, no.
I thought those actors liked me.
But seriously, though, there's a guy, an actual janitor. His job is to mop the floors in a pill factory in Afghanistan. And it got bombed to smithereens, killing this janitor because for no other reason than to get the media to stop talking about Monica Lewinsky. It's only one person, and I'm sure there's thousands and thousands of people, innocent people who have died because of the Clintons needing to make a new narrative or to adjust the narrative or pivot on something or to get the scent of the media off of some subject and onto another. But that one is 100% verified. It is a fact that those missiles were only sent in order to get the heat off of him with his Monica Lewinsky scandal. And it is a fact that a janitor, it was like over a holiday weekend, so the only person in that damn place was
would have been a janitor. Clean it up.
And he was killed. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine knowing that your loved one had to be sacrificed because of the horn dog inability for some moron that has the ability to send missiles around the world, his inability to keep it in his pants?
That's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's sad. That's a real sad state that Americans, a majority of people in America, I won't call them Americans because I don't think a majority of actual Americans voted for Hillary Clinton, but she is the one that she dropped everything to save him from what he was doing. And she probably had a big part in the decision to send a missile for no other reason than to save her husband from the indignity of being caught getting blowjobs in the Oval Office in the West Wing when he should be working as a representative of the people of the United States.
Hey, can't you read? No smoking sign. Applies cigars too. Quit it. Cut it out.
Hey, babe. It says no smoking.
Oh. Exit stage right.
Oh, jeez. So anyway.
No, you're absolutely 100% right. The improprieties that were going on were just unbelievable. And
and it cost lives. Everybody's like, oh, what? That was his big argument. Oh, so the guy got his little thing, serviced.
Come on, man. It's all right. He's a man.
It didn't kill anybody. This is just somebody died over the Monica Lewinsky. There is a human being who was killed because of Bill Clinton's inability to control himself sexually.
No, you're absolutely 100% right. Oh, a pharmaceutical factory. They cut it up on WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
Holy the factory was destroyed in 1998 by a missile attack launched by the U.S.
And for what reason?
Bill Clinton justified the attacks, dubbed the boundaries of she did not prove that it was a produced factory.
Wait. They couldn't prove that they didn't make VX gas?
Yeah, that's right.
So we went ahead and blew it up.
So check this out. He bombed in 98. Maybe he got the idea from the movie that came out in 97.
Oh my gosh. Hollywood is responsible for this. Dustin Hoffman has killed people indirectly.
Indirectly murdered people. So, okay, so Putin responds to the expelling of the diplomats by not expelling the American diplomats. Everybody say, yeah, we're waiting. We're ready. We know he's going to do it.
No, why would... Dude, Putin's not a child.
No. No.
Oh my gosh. I'm starting to become a fan, though. For all of you idiots out there who are like, "Oh, you're just a Russian shill." I'm not a Russian shill, but I'll tell you what, I got a lot of respect for Putin.
Well, and not only that, but you, as a world leader, you naturally have respect for other leaders. Whether they're good people or bad people, you can understand, wow, that guy's really got his ship together.
You got to be careful. FCC just got pegged for that one.
Well, no, he was a seaman. And one of the...
Whoa. Whoa.
On a ship.
There are children.
It's a ship.
Oh,
so just like Trump said, he said, I respect Putin. I don't know him. I haven't met with him. But I've got respect for, and Putin has respect for Trump as well. You see that leadership. So check this out. Motherboard.vice.com. It's a real website.
Motherboard.vice.com. Okay.
Right. Voting experts 2016 say was not hacked, but 2020 may be.
Of course. Whenever we can put this narrative into play, we'll go ahead and do that.
So they're saying that there's no provable, in Obama and the administration, nobody has any proof whatsoever that the voting machines and the paperwork on the ground that aren't connected to the internet, they're saying that they got no evidence they were hacked. I think you made that comment this past week.
I said, please explain to me, what does it mean to hack an election? The machines are not hooked up to the internet. And in Michigan, and I'm sure some other states, or at least some precincts elsewhere in the United States, use paper only.
Well, now our machines here in Cincinnati, we film out on paper, and then you slide it into the paper shredder.
Oh, it doesn't even give you a digital readout on what you did.
Nope.
It's like, okay, bye-bye.
And it goes, it sounds like this.
Wait, you got...
That's it. Like, you walk up, it's got the slot, and it's just, you slide it in there. And as soon as you slide it in...
Wait, we got to do one. Because it makes a sound, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna tell you what it sounds like to vote in Ohio. Oh, he's gonna put a chunk in there. There you go.
You're in Ohio and you vote and you just cast your ballot and you're all done. And you stick it in the... And you've just now voted.
I was hoping for a little bit more crumbling, but all right. We sacrificed a tree for that.
We did.
The whole tree. Unbelievable.
But you laughed so hard because it could have been hacked. It's not even hooked up to the internet. The shredder's not hooked up to the internet. But you do stick your ballot in that shredder thing.
And here's what I don't like about it. And we're getting off on a tangent, but you know, when you do those tests, and when you're in high school and you got to fill the bubbles in,
right?
Scantron, and then you put the Scantron in the machine,
right?
It will tell you which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. It gives you results.
Oh, it give you a receipt,
something like that.
Yeah.
This one,
there ain't no receipts.
There's no digital readout that says a damn thing.
No.
Nothing.
It doesn't even say thank you, Brian Smith.
No. Thanks for voting Hillary.
Right.
At least the places in Texas. Was it Texas that had the voting problems? I think it was Texas. At least in Texas, they were able to click on Trump and it would tell them Clinton.
Which that's dirty wrong. That's wrong.
And then they would have to ask somebody for some help. Hey, this isn't working right, blah, blah, blah. With ours, it would switch it without you even knowing it.
Right. They don't even tell you they did it. You just stuck it in the shredder, and they have reproduced other documents in the back room.
Right. Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
So check this. So James Woods, you know James Woods? The actor?
Yeah. The only movie that I know him from, which is really sad. I mean, I know him from, he always enters the World Series of Poker, but he was in a movie when I was a kid back in the 80s called Cat's Eye.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
He was the smoker.
Oh, that's right.
He had to quit smoking, and he went to a clinic for it to quit smoking. And what they did was they kidnapped his wife, and they put her in a torture chamber. And they unveiled. They pulled the curtain, and he was behind a mirror, so she couldn't see him. But it's a Stephen King movie.
Yes.
It is what's her name?
Drew Barrymore.
Oh, Drew Barrymore was a little girl in it. Okay.
Yeah. Horror film.
Well, so basically, spoiler alert.
It was in 85, so
85, okay.
If you ain't seen it, then...
So James Woods had to quit smoking, and the way this clinic did it was they would kidnap your wife and put her in this torture chamber thing with electric floor and stuff, and it would torture her for a couple minutes. And James Woods was freaking out, like, what are you doing? And then they closed the curtain. They said, she's safe. She's fine. She's going home now. They're sending her home. But if you smoke one cigarette, and we've got people watching, we're going to put her in there and she's done for. And so for the rest of his part, he's like in traffic and he's like, I'm in rush hour traffic.
I got to smoke.
And it's dead stop, gridlock. And as he starts to light one, he like there's somebody back in traffic that he thinks is looking at it. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good little scene.
Wow.
Stephen King, he comes up with some funky stuff.
So James Woods, back during the election, told all his Twitter fans, yo, I'm out.
You're out.
Censorship.
What?
He stopped his Twitter account because of the censorship and freedom of speech. He didn't like what Twitter was doing, so he bailed out.
Okay.
And that was a couple of months leading up to the election. We were like, no, you can't be for real. No. But he's for real.
Oh, no.
However, just last week, he's back on.
Yeah, I noticed he's been popping up.
Yeah, he popped up just recently. And
this is New Year's resolution to start tweeting again.
Well, sweet.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just making that up.
So somebody tweeted a meme. Well, what's it? A picture with words on it.
Meme.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it a meme.
Okay. But it's not moving.
No, yeah.
Well, that would be a GIF or GIF.
Yeah, I call it a GIF.
GIF.
But I think I've been yelled at for that.
Okay. So this guy tweeted this out to James Woods, and James Woods retweeted it.
Okay. All right.
And it's all about the Russians. So this guy tweeted this out, and it says, first the Democrats tried rioting, then they tried threatening the electors, then they claimed the Russians hacked the voting machines. When all that failed, they came up with a new ploy. Donald Trump, his win, isn't legitimate because the Russians interfered in the election in favor of Trump, so the electors shouldn't vote for him. But let's be clear. They didn't vote illegally. They didn't vote illegally. They didn't hack the voting machines. No. If the Russians did, they're being accused of hacking the emails that WikiLeaks released. In other words, according to the Democrats, the electors should overturn the results of a legitimately won election because the Russians exposed the lies, the deceit, the corruption, and the collusion of the Clinton campaign and the DNC and the media.
Right. Basically what they're saying is that the Democrats should be allowed to freely manipulate the electorate with lies and falsehoods.
Correct.
And to be exposed for that means that they are unable to manipulate adversely. I think it's an adverse manipulation when somebody is making a decision that they think is informed, but is actually the opposite of what they were thinking.
Right.
Like if the bacon industry got you to believe that by buying and eating as much bacon as possible, that'd be called the Atkins diet, by the way, that you would lose weight. That's the Atkins diet. So clearly,
Dr. Atkins died of a heart attack.
Right. So clearly, I was going one way, and then I realized I came up with a much better analogy than I originally thought. So that would be like Dr. Atkins getting paid by the bacon industry,
Con slaughterhouse,
right? The slaughterhouse to come up with an awesome diet. And then it was discovered that the whole thing was just a big fat lie. Pun intended.
or like Scientology, somebody says, "Hey man, let's come up with a religion so we can make money."
Well, imagine.
It's all a lie.
We'll go back to the original analogy. Imagine the pork industry or the slaughterhouses being outraged that they're not allowed to manipulate you for their benefit. Because the truth got out, and they're angry about it, and they're calling foul. Mm-hmm. They're like, "No, this is not right. This is not fair. We should be allowed to keep our lies secret."
Right.
That's what the DNC is doing.
Right. I'm absolutely beside myself that you guys are not allowing. See, they hacked my emails. I'm not talking about what's in them. I'm just saying what they did was wrong.
What they did was wrong. I had this.
What Snowden did was wrong.
I had this great discussion with my dad about this. I think that what they're trying to argue is they're trying to do a subliminal analogy of American courtrooms. And this is the truth. If Brian murders somebody, okay, and the only piece of evidence that proves that he's the murderer was shown to the jury, but found to be obtained illegally.
Oh, yes.
He is supposed to be found innocent because the judge will tell the jury you must strike that from the record, which leaves no evidence that you murdered that person, even though it's been proven through evidence that was obtained illegally.
If they obtained forensic documents, used forensics, and they called forensic files, they had them on the job.
Okay.
But they didn't. They did it illegally. All the forensics they did, showing that his hand, his bullet, powder, all that stuff, he 100% did it, but we illegally obtained it all.
Yeah, like let's say the only thing they could find, let's say all the forensics is clean, they couldn't find anything. But one of the detectives broke into your house and found the actual murder weapon with your blood, their blood, your fingerprints, all that, and then said, "Dude, check this out, come and get it."
I'm just going to break in and get it.
The only way he found it was by breaking in.
Okay.
And then tried to show this in court. And the judge was like, wait, you obtained this. How? No. And the jury's sitting right there. They hear the whole thing. They know for a fact that you are guilty of murder. And then it has to be stricken from the record. And if they find you guilty, you could do a mistrial,
right?
Retried, and then the new jury would never see that. You would be found innocent. A murderer gets off free. This is the analogy that they're hoping that the American people buy.
Because they're lawyers. They're all lawyers.
Here's the problem. Elections are not a courtroom.
Correct.
And when something comes out, there's nobody to tell you that you're supposed to strike these facts from the record. And to be honest with you, do we want a murderer to go free, or do we want
justice,
the truth about Hillary to be known to people that might vote for her to be their president?
Right. No. Dick Morris came out and said that Hillary Clampett,
yeah.
Jed Clampett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clampett.
They're talking about 2020.
Who?
Hillary.
Back in 2008, they said this is her last hurrah. She's going to be too old to go. They drug her out of the coffin for 2016. We are at full Weekend at Bernie's if she tries to go 2020. Full blown. By the way, I got that on Blu-ray this week.
I know I saw that tweet you put out. That's sweet.
Yeah, I ended up watching it.
Hey, we
got some sauce.
We got one of our listeners, Roy. Roy said that he emailed a former CIA, FBI agent, a friend of his, and asked him about, hey, if the Russians could have hacked, scanned the election and all this, and his buddy emailed him back, big red letters. Stupid.
What do you mean by red?
This stupid never happened. And that's what we're saying. It never happened. Absolutely.
I don't know why. Well, it's the mainstream media. They keep on talking about it like it is a fact, or is it, or even remotely true.
Right. We got DJT on the message board tonight.
Oh,
so
the President-elect Trump.
Trump, right. And so I've got a soundbite. Kellyanne Conway was she was on the news. Damn it!
What?
Hannity, that's what it is.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Looking through my notes, my show prep,
all right.
and here's what she had to say about all of this.
We have complicated relations with Russia. We have for decades as the United States. But at the same time, the president-elect has made clear that he is willing to work with countries who want to work on big solutions together. For example, if there are countries that want to come together with the United States and help eradicate, not just contain and not just pretend they've gone away, but eradicate ISIS, then we would entertain that assistance depending on the terms. I mean, I would say it's just remarkable to me that we're talking about sanctions against Russia just days after I would call sanctions against Israel with that horrible UN vote where really I think Secretary Kerry, before his speech and certainly after his speech, has lost a tremendous amount of credibility in just upending U.S. policy with respect to Israel. You will see President Trump have a much stronger relationship with Israel. You can't put daylight between the U.S. and Israel diplomatically, militarily, technically, when you're talking about President Trump's administration. So I think just in the last couple of days, you see this flurry of activity by a tough President Obama as he exits office.
It's sad. And then the Russian embassy, the Russian ambassador in the UK tweeted out over the weekend a big giant duck.
Oh, right.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that was just either yesterday. That was like real recently.
Yeah, a big giant duck and said,
lame duck.
Obama's doing this. Everybody's ready for that pathetic wimp to leave. Just a lame duck.
And that was the Russian embassy, I think, in United Kingdom.
Yeah, UK.
Yeah, that was great. I love the balls.
Yeah, I mean, because I'd rather deal with somebody who's got a set.
You represent Putin. Right. You're just an ambassador, so you represent the country of Russia in another country. And here they are tweeting trollicious messages.
You know what?
I love it.
You know what? That ambassador probably got a call from Putin
said, just be careful.
Said, I tell you what, I like what you're doing.
I like what you're doing.
And maybe next holiday there might be another turkey on the way. Get a bonus.
Another bowl of slop.
Whatever they eat.
I don't want to make it sound like that Russia is the Soviet Union, because it's not. And that's the problem. The problem with liberals is they want everybody to think that Russia and the Soviet Union are the same thing, especially when they liken, they talk about Putin like, oh, he's ex-KGB. Well, that was a government organization in a government that no longer exists.
Yeah, like if we call it the CIA now, but if Obama had his wish and took over the country and renamed it and made it his own dictatorship, it probably wouldn't be the CIA anymore. It'd be something else.
Right.
It'd be
the SS. Oh, whoa. I just went straight. What was that, Murphy's Law or something?
Right into that.
Godwin's Law. That's where whenever
what can happen will happen.
No, that's Murphy's Law. No, Godwin's Law is whenever you bring up Hitler, you are conceding the debate. It's over. You lost it.
Oh.
Something to that effect.
Yikes. So did you hear about Andrea Mitchell? Andrea Mitchell. She was on the phone call with Obama's people.
Okay.
And Obama's people were telling her and the other people listening on the hotline. I guess these people get hotlines. Something. Maybe she's got a red bat phone at her house.
Okay.
And when Obama needs the media, he calls her.
1970 called. They want their technology back. Right. Okay.
And so she goes into explaining Obama's thought process with this entire thing. You hear a little bit of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's if you could all stand by for me just a moment here. I want to bring in our foreign affairs correspondent, our chief foreign affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell.
She's the chief foreign affairs correspondent. The longer the title, the more money you make. That's what I find. Maybe.
It's
joins me on the phone now. And Andrea, I understand that you just got out of a White House briefing. Is that right?
The White House did a background briefing along with officials from DHS, from the State Department, and basically they are saying that they know that President-elect Trump has signaled as recently as Wednesday, saying that he thinks that we should move on past what has happened. But he said that the president's approach is that there is one president at a time, and that President Obama feels that he needs to exercise his duties until January.
Okay. What? This is who Obama is. This is who he is. He doesn't want to relinquish the throne, the crown, the scepter. I've got control, and there's only one president.
From my cold, dead hand. That's probably what he's thinking.
That's what he's going to say next, right?
January 20th. So these actions are pretty stiff. I mean, PNGing, declaring persona non grata 35 Russian embassy employees, saying that they were basically spies, kicking them out.
See, so that's where I got this from. She talked to Obama's people, and Obama's people told her they were Russian spies. All 35 of them.
Obama's people told her they were spies.
Yeah, all 35 of them.
Well, whatever the narrative happened to churn out after the little meeting with the little kids, remember? Well, that's some inside baseball there.
Now, they have to leave by noon on Sunday, and that's giving them 72 hours to get out of the country. That is clearly and always going to be reciprocated. We have to expect that our own diplomats are going to be kicked out. They say that this has not been a pattern of normal harassment of our diplomats in Russia, that in fact this is an unprecedented level of harassment not seen since the Cold War era in the last 2 years.
My God.
Did we have diplomats in Russia during the Cold War era that were being harassed?
Not since the Cold War. No, I doubt they were. Maybe if you mean like on a professional level.
Were they being harassed?
Kind of screwing around with them. But not harassed like you see these millennial trolls these days.
In both Moscow, St. Petersburg, and elsewhere.
Moscow, St. Petersburg, and elsewhere, Americans are being harassed.
She forgot Leningrad.
And also shutting down 2 locations, one in New York, one in Maryland, according to the briefers on the call, that are used for other recreational purposes. So these are not contiguous with the embassy or the consulate. So these are 2 locations that are now going to be shut down and not available to any Russian employees, any embassy members who are diplomats who are still remaining in the States.
I just have a question that somebody needs to answer. Why are we doing this?
There's sanctions.
Why are we sanctioning them?
Because they hacked the election.
Where's the proof of that? Evidence? Just a sliver?
The guy that came up with my birth certificate, he's working working that paperwork out right now.
And by the way, what does it mean to hack an election?
Yeah. No, I still haven't done that.
Are you talking about hacking the emails from the DNC server?
He mentioned that in the sanctions, yeah. And the harassment.
Harassment.
The harassment. And what's funny, though, is that the embassies aren't being closed. It's these recreational facilities.
They're not letting them play.
Right, and the employees...
Playtime is over. You are grounded.
You played too much.
You are grounded.
And you were sneaking around. No good.
hide your wives, hide your children, hide your husbands, because they raping everybody around here.
That's just dumb.
That is getting personal. They're also, as you know, releasing very detailed cyber information to antiviral companies here to America and letting them know how to trace Russian entries. So try to help respond against the very...
Okay, so what she's saying is that the Obama administration is working with very high-level, high-tech cybersecurity companies, and the cybersecurity companies they're working together to find the trace of the fingerprint of the Russians.
So you mean they have no idea who did this?
So you can see them when they're coming.
They're starting with the premise that Russia hacked the election, and now they're trying to find the evidence.
Right.
This is insane. This is insane.
Hacking by the Russians. They say that this has been universally accepted. They defend...
Who accepts it? Universally. Who lives in this universe? I guess I don't live here. I don't live here in this universe.
Well, global warming has been universally accepted.
In which universe? Maybe we talk about an alternate universe.
Well, definitely on the planet of Jupiter.
That's in this universe.
Yeah, they've got some serious climate problems.
It's like Venus. You didn't know Venus was the hottest planet in the solar system, even though it's not as close to the sun as Mercury. And the reason is because they have an 800-mile thick atmosphere that's made entirely out of carbon dioxide. And they use that. By the way, our atmosphere is like 20 miles thick at its thickest. And we have some odd percent of carbon dioxide. And they're like, look at Venus. You don't want to be like Venus.
It's universally accepted Venus is bad.
Oh my gosh, we need to send our race, the human race, not white race, human race, to Mars. I was going to say somebody on the big Alaska clan might be. Oh, did I say clan? Oh my gosh.
Not doing it before the election. They say it took time, that they were public on October 7th in an unprecedented way by saying that it was the Russians, that it was at the highest level of Russia, which means Vladimir Putin. They said that before the election. But as you know, there are a lot of Democrats, especially in the Clinton camp, who feel that they should have been more aggressive and done this sooner. And they really are taking steps. They think, if I could read into or infer from the callers, from those on the call, they are taking steps that will box in Donald Trump. How easily will it be undone? When asked whether Donald Trump and the new administration, according to all their signals, which does not agree with this, at least what they've said so far publicly, unless they see more information once they take office, will they let those spies back in the States? Will they reopen those Russian facilities? The briefer said that they think it would be very difficult for the president-elect, for any American president, to reopen spy facilities, to let...
Okay, I'm done.
Did she just call it spies facilities?
Yes. Okay, so she's out propagating.
Oh, by the way, just listening to her and reading between the lines, I can verify, I can tell you with 100% certainty that this is completely made up.
It's a setup. This is a set up. She is setting it up. Obama baked the cake, and this wretched hag is icing it.
Yeah.
She's spreading the icing around. She's like, check this out, America. It will not be easy. I mean, if Trump wants to bring back spies and let them back in America, let spies in America open up spying facilities.
They're allowing ISIS combatants here under the guise of refugee status in order to increase the percentage of population of people who would vote Democrat. That's the reason they're doing it. Yeah, it's the reason why California ended up giving Clinton the majority of America, was because so many illegal immigrants were allowed to stay in America, in California, in sanctuary cities, all across the state. And I guess they're mad that they weren't able to do this in more states, because if they had, and that's exactly what they're doing with this refugee status. The whole thing's made up. And oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Russia didn't just steal the data, they weaponized it.
How do they weaponize it?
They dumped it with the intent of influencing our elections.
How is that weaponizing?
Sowing discord in the U.S.
I thought they don't like weapons. They don't like the Second Amendment. Why are you using such inflammatory words?
This is by Representative California 28th Congressional District, ranking member of the House, Adam
What? What was that?
Adam Schiff. Schiff.
Oh, Schiff. How do you spell? Whatever.
So, no, she's setting up the false premise. She's setting it up, letting the American people know. She's attempting.
She did a horrible job of hiding the fact that she's lying. Because she said that that Russia has attacked us with spies, with espionage.
Right.
Is a universally accepted fact. And now we're just going to try to... She literally said we're going to try to find out how to verify that. But we know it's true. We're just going to try to find it.
And so she says the Obama administration told her on the phone that we're going to try and box Trump in.
Which I thought was a non sequitur. How does all this stuff about the kicking out Russian diplomats that they're calling spies. Dude, you know who does that? Iran.
Banana republics.
Iran.
Yeah, Iran.
Iran always kicks out either American tourists or whatever out of Iran, or they imprison them, and they call them spies. They say, you're spies, you're spies. And these are guys that are just hiking in the mountains.
Right. Well, we got the one American.
Libs.
Oh, there was an American that's in prison right now in Iran. They tweeted out over Christmas, let him go. Why didn't Obama do something? But Iran claims they're spies. Yeah, it's a spy. He was up in our mountains.
I feel like the way the Democrat-controlled federal government right now, the Obama administration, is behaving very similarly to what we would have seen in these third world dangerous dictatorships. Kim Jong-il, if you were there and you weren't there to praise him and to play basketball and be have red hair like Rodman,
right?
He would probably imprison you for being a spy. And Iran has imprisoned a lot of Americans over the years for being spies. And now all of a sudden, this whole he's not imprisoning people yet, Russians I should say, but kicking them out when clearly they're here to be just diplomats, ambassadors.
Right. It doesn't. It's not cool, is what it's not. No. It's not. You're going down the same
it's
road.
Not even civilized.
Well, and just like you were saying, the whole.
So lonely, so lonely, so lonely inside real lonely.
That's Kim Jong-il's father. Kim Jong-un.
No, Kim Jong-un is the son.
The Un's the son. That is ill.
Yeah, Kim Jong-il.
So you're talking about the dead man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the
Dude, you could be in prison for that.
Now, I don't know anything about Kim Jong-un's prison camps.
Oh, this guy's even more hardcore than his dad.
Ill was no. Well, I mean maybe, but I know about Kim Jong-il's prison camps.
Right. And Un just picked up the torch and running with it. Killed his uncle, killed his aunt.
Yeah, he's worse.
Started whacking people.
Worse,
yeah. Just getting rid of him.
He's so bad that we don't even know about what he's doing.
There's a lot of truth to be said about that. There's a whole lot of truth to be said about that. So Donald Trump said here at the end, he said to Israel, hold on as best you can.
Hang in there. Yeah.
January 20th is coming. The rescue's coming. Other people are also saying that this move by Obama to Russia actually opens the gateway for Trump to have more talks with Russia, just in general.
Because he has to now.
Yes.
Interesting. That's interesting.
And then, did you hear about Sly Stallone? Sylvester Stallone.
He's always had that. I always felt like he was a conservative.
They were saying that he may be and I think this department is absolutely just disgusting. It should be burned. But the Department of the Arts.
Why would we have a Department of the Arts?
I don't know. Preservation of the art. I know I'm not saying it right, and I don't even really care because it just makes me so angry to think that our government is dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into
Probably trillions.
Probably. However, they were saying that Sly Stallone may be tapped to head that.
He needs to tap people who want to get rid of it so that they will put the. Here's another thing.
Just like out of Texas for the Department of Energy. Steve Perry. Steve Perry.
This Steve Perry. Steve Perry.
Rick Perry.
We need to have one of his songs queued up, but of course then YouTube will not.
Dude, I can't.
Can I sing it?
I can't battle him anymore.
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
You might actually be banned for that. Not for copyright, for just horrible singing.
Yes, yes. So Stallone put together a picture, I guess a picture of Trump, the campaign, and it was all framed and glassed in, and he wrote on it, he said, "To President Trump, a real champ, greatest knockout in history."
Oh, I love that. I saw that tweet. Oh. It was like a framed something or other, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote it on there. That was really cool.
Greatest knockout in history.
What a great line.
Oh.
I might have said greatest upset in history, whatever, but it really wasn't. It was more felt like an upset because of the hype around the fact that he was going to lose so spectacularly.
Right. And I know how you like reading Yahoo News, which I can't.
I love to troll myself.
I can't. But when they have a title for their article that says, "Obama put sanctions on Russia for vote hacking."
Well, yeah, okay, so you're lying. This is what we call fake news.
Right. And I meant to say just the title because that's the fake narrative.
Absolutely. This is fake news. And if Facebook is really concerned about fake news, they should never allow anybody to share any Yahoo News articles, period.
Right.
And by the way, most of what you see on the front page of Yahoo, because it's like a news aggregate site when you really stop and think about it, most of it is from other sites, some of which like Reuters and AP and all that. Honestly, all that stuff is all fake.
Yeah. Fake.
Every once in a while, there'll be something in there that somehow avoided any fake, false information. But it's few and far between, so you just have to be on the safe side and assume it all fake.
I don't think it to be anything different. It's definitely fake. WikiLeaks just posted a link to an article from The Guardian. It's fake news, and apparently The Guardian has had to pull an entire article, retract an entire story that they wrote saying that Julian Assange is linked to Russia.
Oh, he demanded it, I think. He demanded it
because it's a lie.
Right. I don't blame him for going after him for that. It was a false statement. He was not connected to, nor is there ever any evidence that his source was Russian at all. In fact, he said, we're going to break protocol for the first time ever because I feel it's important, but I'm going to tell you information about my source, which is that he's not Russian.
Right. He might have been a DNC staffer, but he's not Russian. And he might have been in D.C.
He might be in a hurry, but he's not Russian.
Right. No, apparently not. Apparently not.
You like my pun there?
Yeah, I do. So a couple other things real quick. There's a lot of socialism on display around the world. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to see. Socialism 101. I know I've brought up Venezuela a few times. And the documentaries on... Dude, I hooked the TV... The TV hooked it to the YouTube through my Xbox and the TV. So I get YouTube on my TV now.
Oh, okay. I have a smart TV, which does it automatically. You have a dumb TV.
So the Xbox and the YouTuber, I got up on the TV, and you can watch 7-minute, 8-minute clips, real short clips on Venezuela. Guys like us flying to Venezuela to report on the ground what's going on.
Because there's no way to find out any other way.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
And the guy that runs Venezuela now, who took it over after the despicable and horrific Hugo Chavez that completely destroyed the entire country, the socialist communist he was. This guy who runs the country now, do you know what his job was before this?
You're going to have to let me know. I have no idea.
Bus driver.
You mean right before this, or he was a bus driver at one point?
He's a bus driver before this.
He's the last guy that was like, I'll do it.
Union rep.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
He's a union rep?
Yep.
Oh.
Now he's running the country, and he says that it's America that's destroying Venezuela. It's America.
Well, Cuba's been saying that for years.
Right. So
we'd be doing so much better if they weren't sanctioning us and just Fidel Castro spent his entire career blaming the crap hole that is Cuba on America.
So the new president in Venezuela is blaming Obama and everybody else up here in America. And this just some recent news, other than the fact that you don't go out at night. There is no toilet paper. Usually stores don't have anything to sell. There's no food. And by the way, McDonald's has pulled out completely. You cannot buy a Big Mac in the entire country of Venezuela.
Probably because they couldn't sell one.
So this El Presidente guy, this bus driver, he said, because we're going to fight inflation, we're going to cancel the $100 mark in the $100 bill. We're going to cancel that. It will be illegal for you to have that in your possession.
Okay.
By Friday, you need to go to the bank and trade them all in for $1 million.
What?
Dude, to pay a restaurant bill, if you go out to eat with your wife, to pay a bill, you have to have a backpack.
To fit all the money in.
Of cash.
They don't have credit cards?
They normally don't work. A lot of times the ATMs and stuff are offline.
Gosh.
Okay, so the new bill. So everybody goes to the bank by Friday, right? Mm-hmm. To change their money in. Bank said, yeah, we didn't get those yet. So I'm sorry. We ain't got it.
Yikes.
So none of it was sent out.
Anyway, it's a system of bartering or something.
It's a complete debacle. And now this latest story that came out, apparently Brazil is being overrun by people fleeing Venezuela looking for medical attention.
Yeah, that's rough.
They say 40% of the people in the hospitals are from Venezuela.
Okay.
No money, need attention. The bodies in the morgue, they're supposed to get to them fairly soon before they, decompose. They say the bodies are in the morgue are so packed full that a lot of times the cops can't get to them for 3 to 6 months. Bodies on top of bodies in the morgue. You can smell the stench in the hospitals.
I know it sounds so inhumane.
It's government Medicare though. That's the government.
They need a backhoe and a bulldozer and dig a big trench, mass graves. I mean, you can't leave you just got to do what you got to do.
Because you're just going to cause the bubonic plague to come back.
Probably. They have no choice but to just shove it into a ditch and cover it over. It's a really sad state of affairs, but that's what communism does.
They are in a full-blown state of communism in Venezuela. South America is really bad. They're socialist, going communist. It's just a complete nightmare.
Wow.
Andrew McCarthy on National Review Online.
Yeah.
Hillary couldn't be proven guilty. It's not possible.
Hillary could not be proven guilty.
No, not possible.
For what crime?
Without Obama to be guilty as well.
Oh, that's why everybody's just like, "Ooh, we got to be careful here." So you're saying that a retired president of the United States, while the current president is going after Hillary Clinton, could end up being indicted.
They won't do it.
Well, he could have his entire presidency erased. Did you hear about all these new Joseph Arpaio? The new revelations that we all knew.
The sheriff out in Arizona that does a phenomenal job.
So Sheriff Arpaio, he has the birth certificate proof. Which
yes, he does.
It's literally, I'm not kidding. There is no new information. Everything that he's reporting that is now proof that it's an illegal, or not illegal, false birth certificate, fake and all that.
Right.
All the evidence that he shows to prove that it's fake, we had that from day one.
Okay.
We reported it.
Right.
PP Simmons, that channel on YouTube that's really popular. He does a lot of, it's just a Christian channel.
Okay.
And they do a lot of that. There's a lot of conspiracy theory stuff on it, but it's all centered around the Bible and all that kind of stuff. He reported all of that stuff within 2 weeks after the long-form birth certificate was released by the Obama administration, and it never got traction, and it went away. And now Joe Arpaio is coming out, and it's rehashed. It's all the same thing, but he's saying it's verified. And we're like, great. I'm glad it didn't get swept under the rug. Thank you. But we knew this. Why is this just now getting traction?
Right. Well, not only is it getting traction, but there's literally not much of anything you can do about it right now.
Well, you can still impeach him, and I believe that if enough people...
Hold on. You and I could impeach him.
I'm saying
fairly easily,
it could be possible
Paul
to impeach him.
Rhino.
Oh, jeez.
You got to get past Paul Rhino, and that ain't happening.
That progressive? I don't know.
So it's unfortunate. So you can't prove Hillary guilty without taking Obama down as well, and so that's why that will never happen.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. And then did you hear about the Obama land grab this past week?
Grab him in the land?
Yep, grab him in the land.
Okay. No, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, he goes out to Utah and Nevada.
Okay.
And he renames land, calls it...
I heard about it. I don't know about any of the details.
Well, it's now, I guess, protected government land. And
what's that going to do?
1.35 million acres.
That may sound like a lot, but if you've ever driven through Utah, you can look at the whole property.
Okay.
Seriously, like Monument Valley, if you're looking in every direction, you could see at least 40 miles in any direction. At least. So anyway.
That makes a total of 553 million acres of national lands and waters that Obama has reproposed for conservation and protection using the 1906 Antiquities Act.
Thank you, Theodore Roosevelt.
More than any other president, according to the New York Times.
What is he doing?
More than 80% of Nevada and 65% of Utah is owned by the federal government, according to National Public Radio. So it's probably even more.
Fake news reported
National Public Radio?
That's almost screaming Nazi.
Oh, man.
National Public People's Network.
Right.
Republic.
Right.
Much of what you see and hear on the following program may be shocking and upsetting to you. But if you will listen calmly and with an open mind, you may discover the key to the peace of mind and joy for which you've been searching all of your life.
Yes, my friends.
If that's not Larry Fishburne, I must be a racist. Isn't it? It's gotta be him.
It's a white dude out of the 50s.
No, that's Lawrence Fishburne. Listen to that again. Listen, Larry Fishburne.
And that is not Larry, not Lawrence.
Much of what you see and hear on the following program.
That's Lawrence. Come on.
I'll pull it up after the show, dude. It'll blow your mind.
That's Lawrence Fishburne.
Not today.
maybe in a past life.
Maybe in a past life.
This is painful. This really and truly hurts.
Oh, my goodness. You didn't think that sounded like Lawrence Fishburne?
Oh, no. It sounds like him, but it ain't him.
We're talking about the red pill or the blue pill. It's your choice.
He's got a pretty deep voice.
It sounds just like that.
Oh, hey.
If you want to know what he sounds like, play that clip again.
Hey, before I forget, hey, did you see that Ohio State game?
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch the game?
Well, it was a blowout.
Yeah, did you see this part of the game?
Probably not. What is it?
Okay, where are we coming in here, Billy? Here it comes.
Here he goes.
Oh, my God.
There he is. Look.
Why would he do that? You've got to see this clip.
I found it on Trumpocrats, at Trumpocrats on Twitter.
What was he reaching for? It looked like he tickled him in a place where he sexually assaulted him. Okay, let's be honest. He definitely sexually assaulted him. Oh my gosh. No, I did not see that.
That has gone. Those are the two takeaways from 2016 last night. Ohio State grabbed.
Sexually assaulted. Wow.
And then, what's her face? Whitney Houston.
Dude, you're not even in the ballpark. Whitney Houston. Somebody dug her corpse up.
She looked like it last night.
Oh, that's what it was.
Oh, my God.
Mariah Carey pulls a Whitney Houston's corpse.
Oh, she was completely under the influence of copious amounts of barbiturates.
I sing better than Whitney Houston. She's dead.
Share us with your friends, folks. It's a good time.
Oh, my goodness. Have a good one. And have a good 2017.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.